Douluo, my Sharingan isn't very proper. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction. So don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 678. What was your reason for saving me? Perhaps it was because Xiao was the first person to deliver such a blow to her that Xiao Wu only had eyes for him. Thinking of this, Liu Erlong looked at Xiao, then at Xiao Wu, and said, "Husband, why don't you go and talk to him? I'll take the sisters back first." Xiao looked at Liu Erlong with surprise. Ningrongrong's face showed a hint of anxiety and confusion. She wanted to say something, but Liu Erlong stopped her with a look. Du Yan was also pulling her aside. She already knew Xiao Wu's little scheme. Let's go back. Led by Liu Erlong, the rest of the Blue Tyrant Academy members headed towards the camp. Ningrongrong and Xiao Wu frequently looked back at Xiao, who was still with Xiao Wu. Xiao was also somewhat confused, but he didn't leave. He was also curious about what Xiao Wu had said to him. Liu Erlong and the other girls had only walked a short distance. Ningrongrong couldn't help but ask, "Sister Erlong, why did you let Xiao talk to that Xiao Wu alone? Don't you have enough sisters? Besides, she has such a bad temper." Liu Erlong smiled, looking at Ningrongrong meaningfully. She explained, "Rongrong, you can't tie a man's heart down. What's yours will always be yours. Didn't you understand this principle before? You were willing to put in the effort." Hearing Liu Erlong mention the word effort, not only Ningrongrong, but even Xiao Lan and the others blushed. Ningrongrong said shyly, Anyway, I just don't like that Xiao Wu, so what? It's okay. Miss Ning, your temper wasn't so bad before either, but you changed after meeting your husband." Beside her, Du Yan, holding Ningrongrong's arm, said with a smile. I don't have a bad temper." Ningrongrong blushed. If Xiao could coax her with her past little temper tantrums, it wouldn't be so bad. Standing there, Xiao Wu looked at Xiao, whose face was calm, handsome, and dressed in white with silver brocade, his chest embroidered with many words. Her expression changed slightly. "Come with me." After saying that, Xiao Wu turned and walked towards the rest area. Xiao was naturally not afraid of any tricks Xiao Wu might play, and followed her into the rest area. Xiao Wu led Xiao all the way. They stopped in a secluded corner of the rest area. At this time, the qualifying matches outside were still ongoing, and students from various academies were watching. This so-called rest area was actually a specially marked camp for pre-match adjustments. There was no one there at the moment. Stopping, Xiao Wu turned to look at Xiao, her expression softening considerably. "Thank you for helping me last time." Xiao raised an eyebrow in surprise and nodded silently. "You're welcome." Then, Xiao was a little confused. He asked, puzzled, "You called me here just to talk about something that's already happened. Didn't you already thank me back then?" Xiao Wu looked up and stared at Xiao for a moment. A wave of discouragement washed over her. From childhood, although she had always pursued strength and diligently cultivated, she was equally confident in her appearance. She had never seen any boy show impatience in her presence. Yet, Xiao was giving her that feeling. "Xiao, are you unwilling to talk to me?" Xiao Wu's familiar fiery temper seemed to resurface. Xiao waved his hand and shook his head. He explained, "I didn't mean that. I just don't understand what we have to say to each other. After all, we're competitors. And we've only faced each other twice on the field, HMPH. I'm suddenly starting to believe what Feng Xiaoshan said. You might have been a blockhead before, but now you've become a carnivorous monster." Xiao Wu snorted coldly. She never understood the meaning of subtlety. She directly stated her thoughts. At the same time, she felt a little regretful. Why hadn't she met Xiao first? That lower version of him would have been so easy to fool. Maybe she could have tricked Xiao back to Blazing Academy and exploited him at will. He wouldn't be in this situation now. He might even be able to lead the Blazing Fire Academy team to win the Soul Master tournament. Perhaps before, Xiao Wu would have doubted Xiao's strength, whether he was strong enough to win the championship. But now, no, after witnessing Xiao's divine space, Xiao Wu no longer had that doubt. She also no longer had the desire to compete with Xiao. Xiao frowned, remembering that Feng Xiaoshan had once inquired about his past from Ning Rongrong and the others. He shrugged helplessly. What you said isn't wrong, I really am a monster, you? Seeing Yi Chu's still nonchalant expression, Ho Wu was speechless. Thinking about it again, Yi Chu was right. He really wasn't a normal person. How could a normal person possess such strength, and also have such a large space? Seeing Ho Wu's seemingly about to explode expression, Yi Chu immediately lost the desire to continue the conversation. If you're just talking about what happened that day, I think I can go back now. Wait, seeing Yi Chu about to leave, Ho Wu quickly called out to him. Am I really that annoying to you? Looking at Ho Wu, who was blocking his way, her face flushed red, whether from anger or embarrassment. Yi Chu was a stunning beauty. Tall and slender, with exquisite features, she was indeed a breathtaking beauty. What else is there? Just say it quickly. Ho Wu frowned and said, you can leave, but you have to answer one question first. Looking at the fiery beauty before him, Yi Chu nodded slightly. Okay, ask away, but if it involves my personal secrets, I won't answer you. Don't worry, I won't delve into your secrets right now. Ho Wu Yi Chu was mysterious. Even now, she still couldn't see through him, didn't know his true strength. Even when facing the Divine Wind Academy, he remained calm and composed, seemingly unconcerned. He even managed to learn Feng Xiaoshan's self-created soul skill, the Gale Wolf 36 consecutive slashes, after years of hard work, in a short time. Ho Wu took a deep breath, her eyes fixed intently on Yi Chu's. She asked in a low voice, why did you save me that day? What were your thoughts? Shouldn't you hate me? Why would you risk exposing your secret to help a complete rival like me? Yi Chu looked at Ho Wu with surprise. Is that your question? Is that why you called me here? Ho Wu nodded seriously. That's right, that's why I called you here, and it's what I want to know. Have a nice day. Chapter 679 I will not give up. Hearing Ho Wu's confirmation, Yi Chu shrugged helplessly and said, although we are competitors, we are just competitors. We're not mortal enemies. You launched that attack simply to win the competition. Our goals are the same, and we don't have any deep-seated hatred. Besides, you're a woman. If I hadn't intervened in that situation, given your personality, you might have tried to kill yourself. What good would your death do me? It would only exacerbate the conflict between our two academies. I only need to intervene slightly to stop it, so why not? As for exposing your secret, you haven't exposed it yet, have you? And even if you had, it wouldn't be a big deal. After saying this, Yi Chu stroked his chin, pondered for a moment, and nodded with satisfaction. That's about it. Nothing special. Hearing this, Ho Wu stared blankly at Yi Chu, her face full of surprise, confusion, and a hint of disappointment. Is that all? Yes, Yi Chu nodded truthfully. Ho Wu was slightly taken aback. She discovered that Yi Chu's answer was completely different from what she had imagined. That day, Yi Chu had saved her, taking her to a vast space. Afterwards, many people inquired about her, but she kept quiet. Ho Wu herself had thought a lot. Yi Chu clearly hadn't shown her any friendly contact. Why would he risk having his soul skill exposed to save her? Her first thought was that Yi Chu actually had some feelings for her. Many people pursued Ho Wu like Feng Xiaoshan, but even more harbored secret crushes. This was Ho Wu's first thought, driven by habitual thinking. Today, she came to find Yi Chu to hear his explanation. In her view, although Yi Chu wasn't like Feng Xiaoshan, always clinging to her like a leech, he would inevitably show some affection after being personally questioned. But who knew? Yi Chu actually described it as a matter of mutual benefit, not even caring that the secret of her soul skill would be known to others. Looking at Ho Wu's stunned expression, Yi Chu decided not to linger and, taking advantage of Ho Wu's dazed state, turned and left. Ho Wu, now that the questions have been answered, I'll head back. Yi Chu? Ho Wu suddenly snapped out of her daze and hurriedly chased after him. Hearing her call, Yi Chu instinctively turned around. But Ho Wu's movement was too sudden, and their bodies almost collided. To protect herself, Ho Wu instinctively braced herself with her hands on Yi Chu's chest. Yi Chu, in turn, grabbed Ho Wu's shoulders to avoid being hit as well. The distance between them instantly shrunk to near, their breaths mingling. Yi Chu could even smell Ho Wu's delicate fragrance. Ho Wu bit her lower lip. It wasn't the first time anyway, so she wasn't afraid of anything. Just as Yi Chu was about to push Ho Wu away, Ho Wu pushed away his hands from her shoulders. Her arms quickly wrapped around Yi Chu's neck, and her red lips pressed against his. Yichu was startled and retreated, but Xiao Wu rushed forward even faster, her eyes flashing with bloodlust. Before the eternal Mangekyou Sharingan could even activate, Xiao Wu's kiss was already on her lips. Her warm, fiery lips pressed against Yichu's, slowly savoring the sensation. Xiao Wu's fiery eyes were wide open. She had felt nothing during her first kiss last time. This time, she tasted it. It was soft, fragrant, and had a tingling, numbing sensation. This caused blood to seep from Xiao Wu's face. Her eyes reflected a crimson hue, and Yichu's image began to penetrate her heart. Her face flushed, her eyes filled with a spring-like shyness, and she playfully stuck out her tongue, even beginning to slowly touch it. Swish! Yichu immediately pushed Xiao Wu away and deactivated his Sharingan. He touched his lips, which were now moistened. A hint of youthful fragrance and sweetness lingered between his lips and teeth. Xiao Wu! What are you doing? Yichu frowned and asked Xiao Wu. His voice snapped Xiao Wu, who had been lost in her own world of desire, back to reality. Her breathing quickened noticeably, her full breasts heaving with each breath. Xiao Wu's gaze towards Yichu was filled with undisguised joy, the desire to possess him still lingered in her mind. Her face flushed, and she spoke to Yichu in a voice only the two of them could hear. No matter what, you saved me that day. You didn't have to do that. I never want to owe anyone anything. I don't know if we actually kissed last time. I'll give you another chance this time as a thank you, huh? Yichu stared at Xiao Wu, completely bewildered. Why are you looking at me like that? Yichu, you just wait, I won't give up. Xiao Wu stared at Yichu, her face burning. After saying this, she turned and ran, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Yichu wiped his mouth, feeling a bit helpless. He didn't understand what Xiao Wu meant by not letting him off the hook. Had he really done anything wrong to her? However, given Xiao Wu's personality, she wouldn't do anything malicious. Yichu could rest assured. Looking up at the direction of the competition venue, Yichu headed towards his camp. In a corner of the rest area, two figures emerged. Huo, how about it? I told you Xiao Wu was smitten. She's been asking me about Yichu these past few days. It seems your brother-in-law is settled. Feng Xiaoshan, watching Yichu's departing figure, smiled and said to Huo beside him. Huo looked somewhat helpless. Turning to Feng Xiaoshan, she asked in confusion, why are you smiling so happily? Are you really happy or just pretending? My sister likes someone else, and you haven't shown any reaction. What can I do? Yichu didn't intentionally try to get close to me. It's Xiao Wu who's fallen for him. Besides, I'm nowhere near as good as Yichu. It's not bad that Xiao Wu is with someone stronger than me. Feng Xiaoshan shook his head with a wry smile. His feelings for Xiao Wu hadn't been new for long. Normally, he would habitually focus his attention on Xiao Wu. This was no exception when Xiao Wu came to find Yichu. Seeing the two of them alone in the rest area, driven by curiosity, he immediately pulled Huo along. However, knowing Yichu's strength, they could only watch from a distance to avoid being discovered. They couldn't hear Yichu and Xiao Wu's conversation clearly, but they clearly saw them suddenly embrace and Xiao Wu even kiss Yichu. He had pursued Xiao Wu for so many years, yet he had never even touched her, let alone been so intimate. He understood, of course, that it was truly time to let go. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 680 Facing Shui Yuer. Sure, I can't control my sister's affairs anyway, as long as you can let it go. Huo patted Feng Xiaoshan's shoulder, somewhat wistfully. How? Feng Xiaoshan's expression fell. Actually, it's not that I can't wait a little longer. Do you think if Xiao Wu fails, she might come back to look at me? Huo was suddenly speechless. He helplessly rubbed his forehead. Don't overthink it. You know my sister's personality. If she gets competitive, it wouldn't be surprising if she climbed into Yichu's bed and got him in one go. Damn it. Can't you give me some hope? I'm really a little heartbroken. Okay, Feng Xiaoshan couldn't help but curse. Alright, stop messing around. Let's go back quickly. If we're caught spying on them, we're dead. Huo didn't have time to joke around with Feng Xiaoshan and quickly left. Hey. Wait for me. Tell me I went to the toilet with you, that'll be a good excuse. Feng Xiaoshan raised his hand, heading towards the competition area to catch up with Huo. Damn it. What are two grown men doing going to the toilet together? Huo scoffed at Feng Xiaoshan's excuse. But soon, when he saw Xiao Wu, he had no choice but to use the excuse. Yichu returned to the camp. There was no one standing in the courtyard. Liu Erlong and the others should have already returned to their rooms. As for Meng Yiren, she seemed to have been dragged away by Du Guyan. Although one of them had a beast spirit and the other a weapon spirit, they were both related to snakes. Perhaps they would have some common topics. Yichu glanced around and went directly to the room where Ningrongrong and Zhu Xiuqing were. As soon as he entered, on the bed that had been joined together, Ningrongrong instantly sat up. She pounced on Yichu, wrapping her legs tightly around his waist and hugging his neck. She sniffed Yichu incessantly. He asked, "You rascal. How is it? Did that woman take advantage of you?" Yichu hesitated, unsure how to respond. Ningrongrong frowned and immediately pressed her red lips to Yichu's. She began to use her charms with practiced ease, playfully sticking out her tongue. Yichu didn't resist, supporting her small, pert buttocks that were almost against his stomach, stroking them slightly, and pinching her soft waist, his Adam's apple bobbing. Ningrongrong had already tasted a different, unfamiliar flavor. But she still didn't want to give in. She only released Yichu when she was exhausted and about to lose her breath. And Ningrongrong's lips parted slightly, and she breathed heavily, her breath seemingly misty, laden with thick love. Rongrong, Yichu pulled Ningrongrong into his arms and walked towards the bed. "Husband," Zhu Xiuqing looked at Yichu, smiling as she stepped forward and took his arm. Yichu nodded slightly. Yichu leaned in and gave Zhu Xiuqing a light kiss. He seemed somewhat dissatisfied with the scent mixed with Ningrongrong's. Zhu Xiuqing then lightly kissed Yichu's cheek. She turned her face again, leaning closer to Yichu, gesturing for him to kiss her. Yichu reluctantly gave her a kiss. Only then was Zhu Xiuqing satisfied. Yichu smiled, pulling Ningrongrong and Zhu Xiuqing beside him, and sat down on the edge of the bed. "You rascal, that woman is definitely not honest." Ningrongrong, nestled against Yichu's chest, couldn't help but complain softly. "Hiss," Yichu couldn't help but gasp. Ningrongrong, without warning, bit his shoulder. "Xiuqing, help me," Yichu cried out to Zhu Xiuqing beside him. PFFT, seeing the funny look on Yichu's face, Zhu Xiuqing couldn't help but laugh. "Let Rongrong bite you a couple of times, it won't hurt too much anyway," Yichu teased. "Since that's the case, then Xiuqing, don't blame me." Yichu grinned mischievously and bit down directly on Zhu Xiuqing's delicate body. Soft flesh gushed from between his teeth. "Ah. Ew. Husband, no." Zhu Xiuqing felt a slight pain and immediately collapsed onto the bed, tightly hugging Yichu's head, which was buried in her arms, her face flushed. After a few moments of playful teasing, Ningrongrong calmed down. In the following days, the Blue Tyrant Academy team continued their winning streak. They defeated 3 opponents in the qualifying rounds, achieving a 10-game winning streak and far ahead of the competition. Today, Yichu and his team were facing their old rival, the Xianshu Academy team. Naturally, Yichu would be playing in this match. After the previous matches ended, Yichu headed straight for the competition venue. Meanwhile, at Xianshu Academy, Shui Yuir approached, hurrying along the way. Facing Xianshu Academy, Yichu was a little hesitant, mainly worried that the girls might accidentally see his Sharingan and suddenly throw themselves at him. If that happened, it would be incredibly embarrassing. Even if it didn't ruin his reputation, it would become the talk of the town. Arriving at the competition venue, Shui Yuir's pretty face was flushed, showing great excitement. "Sisters, what do you think? If they fall for it, won't we have several more sisters?" Du Guyan suddenly became worried. After all, she had once been captivated by Yichu's Sharingan and thrown herself at him. "It's not impossible," Zhu Xiuqing said, blushing. Her first kiss was also given to him back then. "There's no use talking about this now, my husband is already up there," Liu Erlong said with a smile, shaking his head. "Don't worry, Xiaochu should know his limits. He wouldn't ruin a girl's reputation." Xiao Wu looked at Yichu on the stage and Shui Yuir, whose face was flushed. "But Xiaochu seems to be able to seduce people without even using his martial soul, HMPH, that jerk." Ningrongrong snorted twice, biting her lip and rubbing her lips. On the arena, the match had officially begun. Yichu had already activated his martial soul. His eyes were bloodshot. He had 4 soul rings, 2 yellow and 2 purple, on his feet. However, he didn't dare to look directly at Shui Yuir, instead keeping his head slightly lowered. Because Shui Yuir was staring at him the whole time. If she saw that, she would be completely captivated by Yichu. Yichu? Why are you looking down? Shui Yuir, who had already activated her martial soul, suddenly stepped forward slowly. Her blue and white short skirt team uniform fluttered gracefully. Blue hair, white stockings, and a beautiful face as pure as a white lotus. Behind her, the jade dolphin emitted an ethereal song. Beneath his feet were 3 spirit rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Noticing Shui Yuir walking towards him, Yichu couldn't help but frown. He reminded her, Shui Yuir, let me warn you, it's best not to look me in the eye. I know, my elder sister already told me that, Shui Yuir replied, her voice tinged with laughter as she stood before Yichu. Wishing everyone a pleasant life. Chapter 681 The Poisonous Yichu and the Female Thug. Yichu, head bowed and wary, rolled his eyes. Since Shui Binger told you not to look me in the eye, why are you staring at me like that from the start? Not satisfied with just looking from the opposite side, you have to come closer. Yichu, what's wrong with you? Shui Yuir, puzzled, bent over, tilting her head back, supporting herself on her knees. She wanted to get a good look at Yichu's handsome face. She wanted to see what was going on with him. On the competition field, this bizarre scene caused several black lines to appear on everyone's foreheads. Was this still a competition? Couldn't you two at least show some respect for the competition, for the audience and the referee? Why did you have to put on this ridiculous show at a time like this? The match begins, the referee standing beside them shouted again. But Shui Yuir showed no intention of making a move. She continued to stare at Yichu. In the distance, Ning Rongrong, Du Yan, and the other girl's lips twitched slightly. While Shui Yuir acting like a female hooligan, Xiao Wu couldn't help but purse her lips. Meng Yiren nodded in agreement. This Shui Yuir seemed to be even more outrageous and daring than her. She was merely trying to please these older sisters, a roundabout way to achieve her goal. Shui Yuir, on the other hand, was directly targeting Yichu, aiming to strike at the main culprit. Meng Yiren had to admit that Shui Yuir was indeed braver than her. What can I do? My husband's martial soul is so unconventional. If something goes wrong, there will be plenty of fun to be had. Du Yan shrugged helplessly, snuggling against Yi Lingling. In the VIP section, Zhu Ke covered her red lips and chuckled, while Zhu King's eyes flashed with cold light. Jealousy surged within him. Ning Fengzi helplessly covered his eyes, unable to bear watching. Emperor Zhu, however, was quite interested. He was getting tired of watching so many Soul Master competitions. It was nice to change things up occasionally. On the other side, Ho Wu's face was also incredibly dark. This Shui Yuir, why was she everywhere? It's one thing to not get along with her normally, but now she's even trying to steal her man. Luckily, Yichu, that womanizing scoundrel, isn't someone to worry about being snatched away. Otherwise, she'd definitely give Shui Yuir a good talking to during the competition, and maybe even become her little sister beforehand. Little sister, are you alright? Ho Wusheng asked cautiously, watching Ho Wu's sudden change in expression and anger. What could possibly be wrong with me? This Shui Yuir is shameless. She's made Xianshu Academy lose all face, Ho Wu huffed, her face full of displeasure. Feng Zai Ocean was also watching Shui Yuir's performance, inwardly praising her. If Ho Wu pursued Yichu like this, she would have won him over long ago. On the Xianshu Academy team's side, they were all dumbfounded and helpless. Has Seventh Sister really turned the competition venue into a blind date scene? Gu Qingbo looked at Shui Yuir, who was already squatting under Yichu and pulling on his trouser leg, with a wry smile. This is so embarrassing, so beneath him, Shen Liuyu covered her face helplessly, the stares around her making her too ashamed to show her face. People who didn't know better would think all the girls at Xianshu Academy were infatuated. But speaking of which, this Yichu seems quite innocent and easy to manipulate. I just didn't expect him to have so many women, all of them geniuses, beauties, and even their deans. He's managed to win them all over. Is he poisonous? Churuishu pinched her chin, finding Yichu's evasive behavior rather amusing. Maybe, that's why he attracts so many women. He's just a scumbag who can't refuse anyone, Yu Harao analyzed, then curled her lip in displeasure. If Yichu really refuses, wouldn't Seventh Sister be heartbroken? It's better if he doesn't refuse. Zhu Wu shook her head, neither disliking nor liking Yichu. She just didn't want to hurt her sisters. She continued, after all, we've never seen Seventh Girl so serious before. She dares to do something like this in public. I don't believe it's not true love. That makes sense, Yu Harao, Gu Kingbo, and the other girls nodded in agreement. Only Shui Binger frowned. She agreed with Chu Rushu's words because she had felt a strange flutter in her heart during her match with Yichu. Although she recovered quickly, Yichu's image would occasionally cross her mind afterward. Therefore, Shui Binger was more inclined to believe that Yichu was poisonous. Alright, this is still Yuir's own choice. We can only offer advice. Let's focus on the match. Yichu seems about to make his move. Shui Binger's voice immediately silenced the rest of the Xianshu Academy team. She added, remember, if you encounter Yichu and can't hold on, admit defeat as soon as possible to avoid injury. Yu Harao nodded seriously. Don't worry, big sister, I'm terrified of pain. Seeing Ho Wushuang's back rotten halfway last time, I can't bear that kind of blow. Yes, yes, Zhu Wu and the other girls nodded repeatedly. They didn't want to bleed, much less show their skin. In the arena, Yichu directly shut down his Sharingan. He looked helplessly at the smiling Shui Yuir, feeling a bit at a loss with her. Shui Yuir, if you don't make a move, I'll have to be impolite. I won't be impolite then. Shui Yuir completely ignored Yichu's threat. For this match, even if she acted recklessly, it didn't matter. After all, it was a match destined to be lost. Moreover, some clever people outside the arena were starting to suspect that this was a tactic similar to a honey trap used by the Xianshu Academy team. They were just overthinking it. Yichu frowned, considering whether to use illusion magic to send Shui Yuir off the stage. After all, the match had already begun. Whatever soul skill he used would be justified and not excessive. The three-tomo Sharingan in his eyes was about to light up. Suddenly, Shui Yuir grabbed Yichu's arm, making him flustered and embarrassed. He immediately used his ethereal powers to break free. This was the arena. He had no interest in flirting with girls in public. Shui Yuir, I'm going to make my move, Yichu reminded her respectfully, then prepared to use Jinjutsu. No need for you to make a move, I'll go out and admit defeat myself. Shui Yuir waved her hands repeatedly. Taking advantage of Yichu's confusion, she ran to his side again and grabbed his arm. Smiling, she said, Yichu, if you agree to a date with me, I'll admit defeat. Okay, not really. Yichu shook his head helplessly. This competition was truly speechless. It was practically child's play. Did Xianshu Academy know how to manage their team members? Best wishes to everyone. Chapter 682 You won, but I didn't lose either. Facing Yichu's gaze, almost everyone on the Xianshu Academy team avoided his eyes, pretending not to see the questioning look in his gaze. Only Shui Binger looked at Yichu quietly, without any reaction. She thought this was a way to provoke him and make him make mistakes in the later matches. That way, Shui Binger felt she could also achieve some impressive results. Yichu, why won't you agree to be with me? You already have so many women, do you mind having one more? I'm obedient, good-looking, quick to learn, and have decent talent. Shui Yuir's offensive made Yichu roll his eyes. He had encountered a similar situation with Meng Yiren last time. Back then, she seemed to have demonstrated it to him. Her supple body, using a variety of actions, was trying to seduce him. In the distance, Ho Wu kept cursing Shui Yuir for being shameless. If she heard Shui Yuir's words, she might shout that she had learned something. Shui Yuir, I don't have time to mess around here. I'm not that casual. Yichu once again broke free from Shui Yuir's soft, yielding embrace. Is that so? Shui Yuir's light-hearted remark made Yichu open his mouth, then hesitate. He took a deep breath. Yichu had no choice but to help her down. He had already given her the chance many times. I'm sorry, Shui Yuir. Wait. Shui Yuir frowned, stepped forward again, and pulled Yichu, dragging him directly to the edge of the competition area. I know I'm being a bit casual right now, but I said I wanted to go on a date with you, and you didn't want to. So what do you suggest I do? Yichu is taken aback. Actually, you don't necessarily have to come to me. Why? If I don't come to you because I like you, am I supposed to go to someone I don't like? Shui Yuir turned to look at Yichu and pouted. Yichu helplessly shut his mouth. This time, he really didn't know what to say. Alright, I'll walk out of the arena myself now. You should save your soul power, Shui Yuir said, stepping out of the arena and looking at Yichu with a somewhat aggrieved expression. Yichu looked at her as well, his expression evasive, unsure of what to say. You won the match. Shui Yuir stared at Yichu, her face filled with disappointment. But then she revealed a hint of anger, grabbing Yichu's collar. She said sweetly, "But I, Shui Yuer, didn't lose to you." Yichu looked at Shui Yuer in confusion. He saw the anger on her face turn into joy, and her body even leaned towards him. Yichu was about to step back when a thin layer of ice under his feet momentarily hindered his legs. Then Yichu felt a cool, warm touch on his lips. It carried a slight fragrance and a hint of sweetness. Shui Yuer playfully stuck out her tongue. A slightly moist and slippery sensation came over him, touching his lips and teeth. Swish! Lightning crackled beneath Yichu's feet, and he instantly retreated. Shui Yuer stumbled slightly. Regaining her balance, she raised her head, licking her red lips with a smug grin. Her face flushed, she looked at Yichu with a bright smile. "I knew it. I didn't lose to you either. This is my first kiss. Goodbye." Shui Yuer waved to Yichu. Then, without waiting for him to say anything, she ran off quickly. Not towards Xianshu Academy, but towards their camp. She knew perfectly well how crazy and incomprehensible her actions were. But she didn't regret it. Without some special methods, how could she possibly win over the handsome and talented man she had finally set her sights on? The thought of waking up to see Yichu every morning filled Shui Yuer with immense joy. Now, she was still happy, but even more so, shy and blushing. She abandoned everyone and ran towards their lodgings at Xianshu Academy. Yichu was completely stunned. Xiao Wu and the others had just started to scold her when Shui Yuer vanished. Even Xiao Wu couldn't help but admire Shui Yuer's audacity. It was simply too crazy. She had only managed a proper kiss with Yichu after calling him aside. Shui Yuer, however, boldly went ahead and kissed him in public. The Xianshu Academy team, Yu Hiro and the other girls exchanged bewildered glances. They were all somewhat embarrassed by Shui Yuer's actions. Shen Liu asked incredulously, "Big sister, does seventh sister not want us anymore?" PFFT, haha, what do you mean not wanting us? She'll just lose all her face and then hide away to rebuild it. Guruo Shui couldn't help but laugh. Shui Binger hadn't expected Shui Yuer to do this either. This not only embarrassed Yichu but also them. They would be too ashamed to go up for the competition because of this. In the competition arena, Yichu's face showed a blush that hadn't been seen in a long time. It quickly recovered under the power of the extreme ice. Looking at the surrounding gazes, he couldn't help but feel annoyed. How could Shui Yuer be even more despicable than him? Wasn't this blatant cowardice and flight from justice? Throwing all these strange looks at him? Yichu felt like he couldn't even lift his head. This Shui Yuer really had no sense of responsibility or commitment whatsoever. The mocking looks from the VIP platform were what made him feel the most uncomfortable. Fortunately, the referee in the competition area reacted and announced the results of the match. Next, Xianshu Academy sent its team into the competition area again. "Big sister, who's going to play in the second match?" Gu Qingbo asked curiously. "Wasn't everything arranged just now?" "Let's follow the plan." Shui Binger raised her eyebrows and said calmly. "Ah. Then won't I have to embarrass seventh girl?" Yu Harao pouted, but still took a step towards the competition area. On the competition area, looking at the Xianshu Academy team members who were also wearing blue and white team uniforms, Yichu was already on high alert. PFFT hahaha Yu Harao couldn't help but giggle. "Yichu, don't worry. Although you're very handsome, I won't be infatuated with you, much less throw myself at you like Qiatao did." Yichu didn't answer, maintaining a businesslike demeanor. "Haha, Yichu, I think it would be great if you went with our Qiatao. We'd be happy to have a brother-in-law like you." Yu Harao suddenly felt that Shui Yuer had pretty good taste. Yichu wasn't just good-looking, he was quite interesting too. "Alright, the competition has started. Summon your martial soul." Yichu had a black line on his forehead, not wanting to discuss this topic anymore. If he hadn't promised Shui Binger and the others, Yichu would have wanted to run off the stage and avoid the limelight like Shui Yuer. "Okay, but be gentle. I'm still very considerate of Qiatao." Yu Harao's smile faded, and she became serious. She seemed much more reliable than that infatuated Shui Yuer. Wishing everyone a happy life. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 683 Yichu, who is highly poisonous. inside the competition venue. Not long after, Yu Harao was defeated. Then, blushing and tail between her legs, she hurriedly ran out of the venue and back to the Xianshu Academy team's position. She immediately complained to Shui Binger in a sweet voice, "Big sister, that Yu is really toxic." Yu Harao was panting. Just now, in the competition venue, she had some inexplicable an urge to pounce on Yu, to have him hug her and tease her. Zhu Wu and the other girls looked at Yu Harao with puzzled expressions, not understanding why she was acting this way. Gu Qingbo said, puzzled, "Hey Xiao, we asked you to go up and compete, why are you blushing so much? Yeah, people who don't know better might think you also have a crush on that guy Yichu, and then you ran away in embarrassment." Shenliu also looked at Yu Harao with a strange expression. "It's not like I wanted to blush, anyway, it's just poisonous, if you don't believe me, fine." Yu Harao's face was flushed, but apart from Shui Binger, no one seemed to believe her. "You'll know once you experience it, on the competition field." Yichu helplessly rubbed his forehead, somewhat exasperated. He had naturally seen Yu Harao being hit at the last moment. Fortunately, he had closed his Sharingan in time. Otherwise, Yu Harao might have pounced on him. Outside the competition field, everyone who didn't know about Yichu's unorthodox martial soul abilities was completely bewildered. Was being handsome really this easy? Directly bewitching girls. Not long after, the third member of the Xianshu Academy team took to the field. And then, without hesitation, she was defeated. Gu Qingbo's exit was exactly the same as Yu Harao's. Except, she was hit during the middle of the match. Her legs went weak, and she almost knelt before Yichu, grabbing his pants. She was even more ashamed than Yu Harao. "Big sister, that Yichu is really poisonous?" Gu Qingbo's face was flushed red. She had actually had the urge to strip Yichu naked. It was insane. Even now, she felt her clothes weren't so dry anymore. "See, I told you, that Yichu is poisonous, highly poisonous." Yu Harao had recovered by now, but her heart still pounded when she saw Yichu. This was the first time in her life she had imagined herself doing what a man would do on their wedding night. It was utterly shameful. Zhu Wu and the other girls exchanged glances, while Shui Binger frowned. She hadn't expected her sisters to have the same experience. What was going on with Yichu? Could it be an illusion? After a moment's thought, the competition had to continue. Shui Binger instructed her sisters, "Liu, you go next. Be careful not to look into his eyes." "Don't look into his eyes," Zhu Wu frowned. Does big sister mean Qingbo and the others were all affected by Yichu's illusion? What? That guy is so lewd. How could he create such an illusion? Gu Qingbo immediately became furious. Yu Harao, however, shook her head. "But our competition was over then, he had no reason to use illusion on me, that's what makes him even more shameless." Gu Qingbo gritted her teeth, still afraid to think about that memory. "Huh?" Then Gu Qingbo came to her senses. "Big sister, can illusions affect our innermost thoughts?" "Qingbo, what do you mean?" Shui Binger frowned, then explained, "Illusions don't directly affect people's thoughts, of course. They affect people's emotions and judgments through illusions." Gu Qingbo was stunned, scratching her head in confusion. "So it seems Yichu didn't actually use illusions, then isn't this situation even stranger?" Yu Harao looked at Gu Qingbo, who was also a victim and was still clenching her legs. She suddenly became curious. She wondered what position she and Yichu were in. "Anyway, no matter what, try not to look into Yichu's eyes." Shui Binger frowned and reminded her again. "Understood, big sister." Shenliu nodded and then walked towards the competition venue. Looking at the handsome Yichu with blue hair and blue eyes, she was curious about what he had done to her sister. Little did she know, she would soon experience how shameful that situation was. Yichu was now feeling quite embarrassed. The misunderstanding grew larger and larger. Soon the match began, and both summoned their martial souls. The next moment, Shenliu immediately looked away, avoiding Yichu's eyes. However, during this match, for Shenliu, who wasn't used to judging an opponent's moves solely by their limbs, it was impossible to avoid looking directly at Yichu. Ultimately, even though Yichu had tried to finish the match as quickly as possible, Shenliu still fell for it. Looking at Yichu, she was somewhat lost in thought, her mind filled with various images of the pleasure she would gain from throwing herself into Yichu's arms and letting him attack her. Then, her face instantly flushed red, and she even lunged directly at Yichu's chidori. Fortunately, Xiao promptly withdrew his 3-tomo Sharingan. Frowning, he pressed his icy hand against Shen Liu's burning forehead. Shen Liu suddenly snapped back to reality. Looking at Xiao, her eyes sparkled with desire, too shy to look at him. She had actually wanted to eat Xiao's fangs. How utterly shameless. Unable to bear the shyness, Gu Qingbo felt even more overwhelmed by Xiao's scent. She took a step and ran outside. I give up. Her soft, tearful voice sounded somewhat coquettish. At this moment, she finally understood why Yu Harao and Gu Qingbo had fled in such a panic. The people around were numb. What on earth was going on? Were all the girls from Xianshu Academy so superficial? Xiao could defeat 7 opponents with just his looks? Many men present felt a desire to date a girl from Xianshu Academy. They seemed much easier to fool. What exactly is Schwabinger up to? Ho Wu even suspected that this was a tactic devised by Schwabinger. It was too bizarre. Only Zhu Qing and Liu Erlong knew that Xiao wasn't poisonous, but his martial soul was. Hen Qiushan was also somewhat bewildered by this scene. Although his senior Xiao was indeed quite handsome, it shouldn't be like this. Inside the competition venue, Xiao helplessly rubbed his forehead. It seems I'd better not activate my martial soul in the upcoming matches. Liu, are you alright? Zhu Wu quickly went to greet the stumbling Shen Liu. Wishing everyone a pleasant life. Chapter 684, a martial soul that disregards male virtues. Shen Liu covered her blushing face with both hands, shaking her head repeatedly. Sister Zhu Wu, I'm fine. Yu Harao and Gu Qingbo exchanged glances, their eyes filled with curiosity. What was Shen Liu planning to do to Xiao? Schwabinger's brows furrowed even more tightly. She didn't say anything more. Ruishu, you go next, understood, eldest sister, Qiu Ruishu answered hesitantly. Several of her sisters had left the arena in this strange way, making her quite uneasy. But she had no choice but to bite the bullet and go. In this battle, Xiao only activated his Sharingan for a moment before deactivating his martial soul. Facing a soul master, he could defeat him even without using his martial soul. After all, he not only had the intersects ultimate techniques, but also the 2 extreme attributes brought by the ice and fire yin-yang eye, and a lightning attribute soul bone. Combined with his self-created soul skill, defeating a soul master was relatively easy. Chirushu ended the match with trepidation. She was currently, in other people's eyes, the most normal one among the Xianshu Academy's participating team members. With a slightly strange expression, she returned to the team. Of course, many observant people noticed something unusual about this match. Xiao didn't seem to have used his martial soul. The 3 victims from earlier stared strangely at Chirushu, who had just returned. They were astonished. Ruishu, you, how come you're alright, eh? Before Chirushu could say anything, Schwabinger blurted out the discovery. In this match, Xiao didn't use his martial soul. What? Gu Qingbo's eyes widened slightly. Could it be that guy really used some underhanded illusion or soul skill on us? But why isn't he using it now? Doesn't that seem very strange? Maybe he's reached his limit. Humph, Shen Liu said resentfully, unable to look Xiao and herself in the eye anymore. She felt her mouth was filthy. How could she have such thoughts, so completely uninhibited, so blatantly accepting? Just thinking about it made Shen Liu's throat uncomfortable. Schwabinger rubbed her temples helplessly and said softly, wait until Zhu Wu goes up and tests him, then we'll know. He doesn't use his martial soul against a soul venerable. Does that mean he won't use it against a soul sect either? That's the only way. Zhu Wu nodded in agreement. Then she walked towards the arena to face a frightening opponent. Or rather, a poisonous opponent. Judging from the expressions of the girls as they left, it was definitely not a simple matter. Although Zhu Wu herself hadn't tried it, she was still an intellectual and had seen others express their love. That kind of look was clearly the appearance of budding romance. Soon, Zhu Wu arrived at the arena. Just as Schwabinger had thought, Xiao had indeed used his martial soul. After all, no matter what, Zhu Wu's martial soul could cover the arena and affect the weather to a certain extent. The range was too wide. If he tried to withstand it head-on, he would have to be naked on the arena. That would be even more embarrassing. Blue Tyrant Academy Team Area. Sisters, do you think my husband will be traumatized after this? Ha ha ha, Liu Erlong couldn't help but giggle as she spoke. She saw the embarrassment and helplessness on Xiao's face, even his pleading eyes. HMPH. Serves him right. Who told his martial soul to be so unchaste? Ninrongrong snorted coldly, curling her lips, a gloating smile on her face. Zhu's Huking also smiled. It's good to teach my husband a lesson. On the arena. Zhu Wu paused for a moment after seeing Yichu's eyes. Then she became somewhat distracted. Her mind was unsettled, and she forgot to maintain her soul skills. She even thought about what name to give her child. Damn it, Yichu couldn't hold back any longer and cursed. He quickly stepped forward and closed his Sharingan, ending this half-hearted battle. Zhu Wu bit her red lips shyly and glared at Yichu. Her face flushed red, she turned and started running. Silence. The referee was silent, Yichu was silent. The entire scene was silent, an eerie silence that left everyone bewildered. Zhu Wu had been watching for a while, thinking deeply, and almost tripped when she ran back. Sister Zhu Wu, are you alright? Chiuruishu, the only survivor who had participated, was full of doubt. Why were their symptoms getting worse? What had Sister Zhu Wu and the others seen? Don't look into his eyes, Zhu Wu gritted her teeth, looking at Shui Binger with seductive eyes, and reminded her with difficulty. Okay, I know, Shui Binger took a deep breath and nodded silently. If she didn't handle this match well, she didn't know what people around her would think of Xianshu Academy. Big sister, be careful, Shen Liu and the other girls looked at Shui Binger worriedly and couldn't help but warn her. Okay, Shui Binger moved lightly, her petite figure, less than 1.6 meters tall, heading towards the competition field. She didn't dare to think about what would happen if even she had to run away. What should she do? With a hint of defiance, she wanted to find out what tricks Yichu had used. Soon, Shui Binger stood on the competition field, showing no stage fright. Instead, she walked straight towards Yichu and stood in front of him. The two stared at each other silently. Shui Binger's eyes were filled with curiosity, while Yichu was somewhat embarrassed. It wasn't until the referee called start that the two made a move, but neither activated their martial souls. Sorry, Yichu said softly. Shui Binger, however, directly asked Yichu, what exactly happened in those matches just now? Ahem, Yichu coughed twice, then stammered, I think you've already guessed it, it's related to my martial soul. More details? Shui Binger asked again. She didn't believe that Yichu would use such underhanded methods. Otherwise, unless all the women around him were blind. How should I put it? Yichu scratched his head, a rare occurrence for him. After a moment's hesitation, he explained, you can understand it as a passively triggered charm ability that I myself can control. Charm. Shui Binger looked at Yichu in astonishment. She had encountered soul masters before, but a grown man using charm seemed strange. Yes, I can't control it myself. That's why those things happened before, Yichu nodded, there was nothing wrong with talking about such things. Shui Binger wasn't the type to gossip. There was no need to worry about her spreading rumors. Shui Binger nodded slightly, indicating her understanding. Then she said something that surprised Yichu, can I see it for myself, wishing everyone a happy life? Chapter 685 A Lifetime of Introversion. Yichu stared blankly at Shui Binger, who was considerably shorter than him. This was the first time he'd heard such a request since awakening his martial soul. Wasn't this practically asking him to seduce her? What's wrong? Is it not allowed? Shui Binger just wanted to know if Yichu was lying to her. Of course you can, but don't look for too long. Yichu hesitated for a moment, then nodded, not refusing. Hearing his answer, Shui Binger reached out and grabbed Yichu's wrist, a few drops of cool soul power seeping in. Yichu was stunned. Shui Binger's face flushed slightly. She explained, don't worry, I won't take advantage of you. The surrounding people were completely numb. Was this still a competition? Ho Wu gritted her teeth. Why did Shui Binger have to compete with her for everything? And Yichu seemed much friendlier to her than to herself. The remaining 5 girls from the Xianshu Academy team were also full of confusion. What are you talking about with Yichu, big sister? Gu Qingbo asked. She's probably asking what happened to us. Zhu Wu, as Shui Binger's best partner, knew her best. Yes, that should be it, Chiuruishu nodded in agreement, agreeing with this guess. In the arena, Yichu and Shui Binger stared at each other, their eyes fixed. Ready? Yichu asked softly. Let's begin. Shui Binger took a deep breath, the faint fragrance of Yichu making her frown. But a strange fluctuation spread out. A crimson light flashed in Yichu's eyes, But he didn't activate the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Feeling like he had become a humanoid succubus, Yichu was also a little afraid that Shuibinger would lose control. The three-tomo Sharingan appeared. Shuibinger didn't notice any other soul power fluctuations on Yichu. The crimson light entered her eyes. Shuibinger's face immediately turned red. The soft hand that gripped Yichu's wrist unconsciously tightened its grip. She even tilted her head back towards Yichu. She took a step towards Yichu. Her pink lips parted as if to offer Yichu a kiss. Shuibinger's heart skipped a beat, and she immediately looked away, but the feeling of her heart pounding lingered. Her face was still flushed. Yichu only activated his Sharingan for a moment, then immediately deactivated it. "How are you?" Yichu looked down at Shuibinger, who had lowered her head, her ears red, and was blushing shyly. "And nothing." Shuibinger shook her head gently, a little flustered. She completely trusted Yichu. His martial spirit was indeed very unethical. "Then let's start the match." Yichu gently shook the hand that Shuibinger was holding. They had intertwined their fingers without her noticing. Many people from the surrounding academies couldn't stand this absurd match and wanted to leave. No, I'm sorry." Shuibinger hurriedly let go of Yichu's hand. Usually calm and wise, her mind was a mess at this moment. "It's nothing." Yichu shook his head and stepped back, 4 spirit rings swirling around his feet. "Let's start a match, okay?" Shuibinger nodded slightly. What had just happened made it impossible for her to look Yichu in the eye. She couldn't concentrate on the battle. Therefore, Yichu didn't linger and quickly defeated Shuibinger with his spirit power. Today's farce was over. The subsequent matches proceeded. Yichu returned to his team, naturally receiving a lot of disdainful looks. But fortunately, Liu Erlong and the others understood Yichu's predicament. After defeating Xianshu Academy, the Blue Tyrant Academy team achieved an 11-game winning streak. They were currently in first place in the Heaven Dao Empire's qualifying matches and would remain so. Among the teams the Blue Tyrant Academy team would face next were Thunder Academy and Divine Wind Academy. These were old rivals. Yichu wasn't worried. The next day, the qualifying matches proceeded smoothly. When Yichu and his team entered the arena, they were greeted by Xianshu Academy. Except for Chirushu and Shuibinger, the other girls all had their heads down, their ears flushed. Shuibinger was even more so. She only realized how foolish she had been yesterday after coming to her senses. Yesterday's cheerfulness might turn into a lifetime of inferiority. It was also because she didn't know what had happened to Shuibinger and the others. If she had known, perhaps she wouldn't have kept her head down so low. Shuibinger, suppressing her embarrassment and discomfort, nodded to Yichu as a greeting. Seeing the gazes cast her way by Xiao Wu and the others, her face flushed even more. She hurriedly led her sisters away. "Husband, now. I wonder how long it will take them to forget you," Liu Erlong said helplessly, giving Yichu a sidelong glance. How? Yichu could only laugh dryly, remaining silent. Explaining such things only made things worse. Soon after, the competition began as scheduled, and Yichu's opponents today were Thunder Academy. In previous competitions, Thunder Academy had only lost 1 game, against Divine Wind Academy. Their overall strength was even a notch above Blazing Fire Academy. The conductivity of water attribute soul power at Heavenly Water Academy was no match for Thunder Academy, and the destructive power of lightning was stronger than fire in some aspects, leading to an unsurprising defeat for Plant Academy. Thunder Academy's only loss was against Divine Wind Academy. But against Yichu, defeat was inevitable. Although Yu Xiangxin's strength had improved, it was still far too weak. Blue Tyrant Academy achieved a 12-game winning streak. The day after defeating Thunder Academy, the 13th round of the All-Continent Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Tournament began. For most participating academies, their rankings in the qualifying rounds were already determined. They started to hold back in the final few matches, trying their best to ensure their team members didn't get injured, in order to prepare for the finals. However, one academy remained in a state of anxiety, Divine Wind Academy. They couldn't help but worry, remembering the fate of Feng Xiaoshan after his wings were shattered. If he had suffered such a serious injury, it might affect his performance in the finals. "Alright, there's no need for you to look so worried. If you hit us, Yichu and the others will take care of healing us." Feng Xiaoshan wasn't worried at all. Although they hadn't known each other for very long, Yichu didn't seem like someone difficult to talk to. At this moment, both Shenfeng Academy and Lanba Academy were on a 12-game winning streak. Each academy would have to play 14 rounds of matches. The opponents for Lamba Academy and Shenfeng Academy in the final round weren't strong, and victory was almost guaranteed. Therefore, the final outcome would depend on today's match, the clash between these two undefeated teams. But everyone already knew the final result. Have a nice day. Chapter 686 Departure from Wuhan City. In the 13th round, after the previous 6 matches, the match between Blue Tyrant Academy and Divine Wind Academy, as the highlight, was held last. The result was predictable. Blue Tyrant Academy achieved a 13-game winning streak, while Divine Wind Academy's winning streak came to an end. On the final day of the competition, Blue Tyrant Academy's opponent chose to forfeit. Thus, Blue Tyrant Academy's qualifying rounds concluded. 14 matches, 14 wins. Among all 15 teams, Blue Tyrant Academy ranked first, achieving the best ranking in the Heavenly Dao Empire's division. Blue Tyrant Academy successively defeated strong teams like Blazing Fire Academy, Planned Academy, Heavenly Water Academy, Thunder Academy, and Divine Wind Academy, proving their overwhelming strength with absolute results. The title of the strongest academy team in the Heavenly Dao Empire was now firmly established. The competition ended. Emperor Zhu undoubtedly gave another exhilarating encouragement and inspiration. Next, the finals would soon begin. That would be the real battle to determine who is the strongest academy on the continent. As an emperor, Emperor Zhu could not leave Heavenly Dao City without permission, nor could his health permit it. After his speech, Emperor Zhu Yi announced that Crown Prince Zhu King would represent him as the envoy of the Heaven Dao Empire to participate in the judging of this competition. The 15 teams from the Heaven Dao Empire, personally accompanied by the Crown Prince, would travel to Wuhan City, located at the border of the two empires, for the final competition. The final competition would be hosted by the Spirit Hall. Each team would only have 3 days to adjust. 3 days later, the 15 teams, along with their teachers and 500 royal knights, a group of over 1,000 people, set off for the final competition venue. Wuhan City. Originally, the final competition was not to be held in Wuhan City, but for some unknown reason, the Spirit Hall suddenly changed the venue. They moved the final competition to the Spirit Hall's main city. This city almost entirely belonged to the Spirit Hall. Located at the border of the two empires, it was not even owned by either of them. Most importantly, one of the two most prestigious halls of the Spirit Hall, the Papal Palace, was located within Wuhan City. This newly built Papal Palace is hailed as the most magnificent building on the entire Douluo continent. It is precisely because of this new Papal Palace that Wuhan City has become a holy land for all soul masters, a place the Spirit Hall has established for itself, much like a capital city. The journey from Heaven Dao City to Wuhan City takes approximately 20 days. Although Yichu possesses divine power and could travel directly there, he cannot leave Jinringsu behind. Liu Erlong and the other girls naturally follow Yichu as well. The final competition is not very long, as it is entirely an elimination tournament. A total of 33 teams will be decided in less than 10 days. The Spirit Hall attaches great importance to this final competition. During the qualifying rounds, Wuhan City has already specially designated a venue for the final of this year's All-Continent Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Tournament. At the same time, Wuhan City has also issued a decree that during the tournament, non-soul masters are strictly prohibited from entering to watch the matches. Not even nobles. This adds to the mystique of the final competition. The common people didn't feel dissatisfied with the Spirit Hall's decree. After all, Spirit Masters were already a high-ranking figure to the common people. The Spirit Hall was their sacred temple and holy land. Who dared to say anything outside the Spirit Hall when the Pope himself issued a decree? A group of over 1,000 people set off in a grand procession. Although each academy acted independently, they all represented the Heaven Dao Empire. Compared to the preliminary and qualifying rounds, the tension was much lower. Especially the academies with better relations traveled together. Blue Tyrant Academy was still the most watched, but those academies with less power were unwilling to approach them. The Four Elements Academy, however, was different. Feng Zai Ocean, Ho Wu, Shui Yuir, and Meng Yiren often came to bother Yichu. Occasionally, even Shui Binger would come over. To allow the participating team members to rest better, the Heaven Dao Empire specially commissioned 15 luxurious giant carriages for the team members to ride and rest. These carriages even utilized some basic soul tool technology, boasting excellent shock absorption. The ride was incredibly smooth. Of course, These were the most rudimentary soul tool technologies passed down throughout the Douluo continent. The crown prince's carriage was naturally far more luxurious. Yichu, using his divine power, frequently went there to freeload or hang out at Jinriksu's door. Meanwhile, in the Blue Tyrant Academy's carriage, at night, it was a scene of utter debauchery. Amidst a sea of flowers, Yichu was the only green, easily touched by a simple turn or reach. The Blue Tyrant Academy students were indeed enjoying a very comfortable time, spending most of their days cultivating in the carriages. During this period, Zhu's Huking successfully broke through to the Soul King realm. Yichu set off under the cover of night, taking Zhu's Huking to the starred-out Great Forest. They found Erming and quickly hunted down a 42,000-year-old soul beast, obtaining his fifth soul skill, Netherworld Shadow Link. 9 afterimages appear during the attack, each afterimage's power decreasing by 10%. If hit by even one afterimage or the main body, there's no way to dodge the other 9 attacks. She also obtained a right leg bone primarily for speed. After absorbing it, Zhu's Huking was already a level 53 Soul King. The other members of the Blue Tyrant Academy team also made breakthroughs. Captain, Yichu, Martial Soul, Sharingan, level 48 Power Attack Type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 4 black, possesses a 100,000-year Blue-Silver Emperor right leg bone and a 70,000-year Thunder Beast right arm bone. Vice Captain, Duguyan, Martial Soul, Azure Phosphorus Serpent Emperor, level 53 Controlled Type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow, 1 purple, 2 black, 10,000-year right arm bone, 40,000-year left leg bone. Member, Zhu's Huking, Martial Soul, Netherworld Cat, level 53 Agility Attack Type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 1 yellow, 2 purple, 2 black, External Soul Bone, Shadow Spider Spear, 30,000-year-old Ghost Tiger right arm bone, 40,000-year-old Speed right leg bone. Xiao Wu, Martial Soul, Soft Bone Charming Rabbit, level 49 Power Attack Type Battle Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow, 2 purple, External Soul Bone Remnant, Ningrongrong, Martial Soul, 9 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda. Level 47 Support Type Battle Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow, 2 black, 10,000-year Illusionary Wisdom Skull, by Chengxiang, Martial Soul, Golden Sharp-Tailed Swift, level 48 Agility Attack Type Battle Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow, 1 purple, 1 black, External Soul Bone, Heaven-Splitting Golden Claw, Xiao Lan, Martial Soul, Blue-Silver Emperor, level 48 Controlled Type Battle Soul Master. Soul Rings, 3 purple, 1 black. Yilingling, Martial Soul, 9-Hearted Begonia, level 46 Support Type Battle Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow, 1 purple, 1 black. Jiangzhu, Martial Soul, Healing Scepter, level 46 Support Type Battle Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow, 1 purple, and 1 black, heals the torso bones over 35,000 years, wishing you all a happy life. Chapter 687 The People Sent by Bibi Dong. That night, after bringing Zhu's Huking back, Yichu used his divine power to appear in Zhu King's carriage. So fast? I thought you were going to spend the night in the starred-out Great Forest. Zhu King watched Yichu appear in the carriage, a golden light flashing around him before he quickly reverted to his female form. I'm a little worried, Yichu shrugged and casually lay down on Jinriksu's bed. Worried? Jinriksu raised an eyebrow. She took a fruit from the table, nestled in Yichu's arms, and put it in his mouth. Are you thinking about the spirit hall? They shouldn't make a move at a time like this, right? That's hard to say. Yichu shook his head and wrapped his arms around Jinriksu's waist. The current pope calls you a bastard, so you can imagine how bad her feelings are towards the spirit hall, or rather, the Jin family. What if we could achieve our goals while also tarnishing the spirit hall's reputation? After hearing Yichu's words, Jinriksu couldn't help but frown. It wasn't just because of the bastard Yichu mentioned, but also related to his speculation. If that's true, wouldn't you be in great danger? Jinriksu didn't care about the so-called stigmatization of the Spirit Hall. The Spirit Hall's goal was unification. They were destined to stand against those aristocratic families in the future. I won't be in danger. Have you forgotten my soul skills? I'm just curious when they'll arrive. Yichu shook his head, his hand sliding down her shapely buttocks from her slender waist. You? Jinriksu glared at Yichu. Have you already decided what to do? Yes, if all else fails, My soul skills are a powerful tool for calling for reinforcements, Yichu chuckled, turning over and switching positions with Jinriksu. Since you already have a plan, why are you telling me all this? Jinriksu looked at Yichu on top of her, giving him an embarrassed and annoyed glare. I can't just keep saying sweet nothings to you, can I? That's pretty boring. Yichu's hot hand moved up her waist, along her ribs, kneading her soft flesh. Jinriksu gritted her teeth, her heart tightening, and snorted coldly. HMPH. I see you just don't know how to say it. Indeed, I don't know how, so I prefer something more practical now, Yichu chuckled, slowly leaning down to capture her thin lips. Jinriksu let out a soft moan, slowly succumbing. The journey to Wuhan City was already halfway complete, and the past 10 days had been peaceful. 500 royal knights, such a guard was comparable to royalty. Every city they passed received them with the utmost hospitality. They hadn't encountered any trouble along the way. Today was the 11th day of their journey. Due to their outstanding performance in the promotion competition, Blue Tyrant Academy was now positioned in the middle of the entire group heading to Wuhan City. Inside the huge carriage, Yichu was pinned down by several female companions. Xiaolan. Stop it. What does your lost candied hawthorn have to do with me? Yichu rolled his eyes. But Sister Xiao Wu and Sister Rong both said brother took it. Then brother must have taken Xiaolan's things too. Xiaolan grinned, constantly groping Yichu, trying to find her lost belongings. Xiao Wu, Rong, when did I take the carrot and the gold soul coins? Yichu quickly raised his hand to block Ning Rong, who was about to sit on his face. Ning Rong blushed and snorted coldly. HMPH. Anyway, since our things are lost, and you're not here every night, you must be feeling guilty. Yes. Guilty. Xiao Wu nodded repeatedly. Yichu rolled his eyes, finally understanding why they had suddenly started tormenting him. Liu Erlong and Du Yan and the other women sat nearby, watching from the sidelines. Although they didn't intervene, they were also unhappy that Yichu hadn't returned home all night. So many of their sisters were there. They could have easily put together a large, bouncy bed for Yichu to lie on. Yet he often goes to other places to spend the night. It's unbearable. Suddenly, Liu Erlong's expression changed. As a fire attribute soul Douluo powerhouse, she instantly sensed a cold aura coming from afar. Wrong, Xiao Wu, stop fooling around. Something seems to be happening outside. Liu Erlong immediately stood up to warn them. Zhu Zhuqing and Du Yan immediately became alert, looking towards the windows on both sides of the carriage. Cries of pain rang out one after another. Hearing Liu Erlong's voice, Yichu immediately used his divine power to dismount the three women. Erlong, Zhuqing, Yanayan, you all need to protect Rong, Jiangzhu, and Lingling. Well later, seeing Yichu suddenly become serious, Ning Rong and the other two women stopped fooling around and immediately nodded in agreement. Their group mostly traveled on official roads, only taking shortcuts when possible. And now, it was precisely the time to take a shortcut. Nestled between two low hills, the path resembled a narrow sliver of sky. Passing through here would save at least several dozen miles of travel. Although the mountain path was narrow, it was relatively flat, allowing carriages to pass without issue. A chill emanated from the mountainsides on either side of the path. Liu Erlong wasn't the only one who felt it, many other soul masters also sensed it, including the captain of the Royal Knights. Everyone on alert. Situation, the captain shouted. The Royal Knights guarding the Soul Masters immediately raised their lances. Meanwhile, the participating Soul Master Academy members appeared relaxed and carefree. In their minds, Soul Masters were the noblest and most powerful profession in the world. Besides, with so many talented Soul Masters present, what did they have to worry about? Although these students were far fewer in number than the Royal Knights, their strength was disproportionate in a fight. Moreover, the instructors leading each academy were numerous and powerful, at least a dozen Soul Emperors and Soul Saints. Such a team is more than capable of facing an army of over 10,000 whoosh. Yichu's figure suddenly appeared atop the carriage of the Blue Tyrant Academy. His high-profile appearance immediately drew everyone's attention. Yichu had a premonition that these people had a different purpose than before. They weren't here to find Tang Sen, but rather sent by Bibi Duang to find him. Wu and Shuibinger naturally saw Yichu's figure and noticed the slight seriousness in his eyes. The two women frowned immediately and ordered their respective teams to strengthen their defenses. The next instant, Countless rocks suddenly rained down from the hills on both sides. These rocks not only appeared abruptly but also moved in perfect unison, hurtling downwards at high speed. The terrain before them was extremely unfavorable for the entire team. This terrain was indeed a perfect place for an ambush. Have a pleasant life, everyone. Chapter 688 Large-Scale Group Battle. Seeing the boulders rolling down the hillsides on both sides, the captain of the Royal Knights hurriedly ordered an accelerated advance. This place was extremely disadvantageous for them. The boulders were then handed over to the 500 members of the Royal Knights. At this moment, the overall quality of the Royal Knights became apparent. Although not all of them were soul masters, their combined strength was formidable. The hills on both sides weren't very high, meaning the force of the falling rocks wasn't overwhelming. The Royal Knights retreated a few steps, leaving only a narrow passage in the center. Raising their lances high, they faced the falling rocks head-on. With each thrust of their lances, they used their spears to deflect the falling stones. The lances of the 500 warriors formed an ironclad defense. In such unfavorable terrain, they managed to prevent a single rock from passing them in a short time. Seeing this, even the young soul masters who had previously been somewhat dismissive of the knights were deeply impressed. Led by their instructors, the 15 soul master academies moved swiftly towards the edge of the hill. To speed things up, everyone abandoned their carriages and hurried on foot. Once they were out of this unfavorable terrain, there was nothing to fear. Everyone was eager to know, who were these people who dared to attack even the Royal Knights? They were still within the territory of the Heavendao Empire. Could there really be such ferocious bandits? Were they blind? Yichu, along with Liu Erlong, shielded Xiao Wu and Yulingling in the middle, quickly running towards the valley's edge. Liu Erlong, with her fiery temper, wanted to rush up the hill for a good fight, but Yichu stopped her. Husband, why are you stopping me? Take the sisters into the divine might space. We'll go and kill all these blind thieves. Liu Erlong was puzzled. There from the spirit hall, Yichu's lips moved, but he didn't say anything. The relationships were too complicated, and he didn't really want to start a war with them. People from the spirit hall, Liu Erlong was stunned, her killing intent quickly receding. She couldn't very well make a move then. They were all her family's property. Everyone, prioritize protecting yourselves. Killing the others is one thing, but protecting yourselves is the most important thing, Yichu said, frowning at Liu Erlong's expression, as he instructed Xiao Wu and the others. Gradually, the Royal Knights began to falter. Some particularly large boulders were already hurtling towards the ranks. At this moment, the strength of the Soul Masters became apparent. The elites from the various advanced Soul Master academies of the Heavendao Empire showed no panic. They fought individually, each academy as a basic unit, releasing their martial souls to protect the support-type Soul Masters inside, while the offensive and defensive types held the outside. The incoming boulders were immediately shattered, without even affecting the speed of the advance and retreat. It seemed they were about to cross the path between the two hills. The Royal Knights behind them had also begun their retreat. Just then, a whistle sounded from somewhere. Suddenly, thousands of men in black appeared on the hills on both sides, rushing down at an astonishing speed. At this moment, the Royal Knights were still in the process of retreating. The Soul Masters of the 15 academies could only rely on their own strength to protect themselves. Various dazzling lights began to appear on the Soul Masters. Martial souls were released, soul rings shone brightly. They were ready for battle. Although there was no coordination between the academies, each academy formed a small group, facing the enemy and advancing instead of retreating. Without needing anyone to organize them, they rushed towards the enemy at lightning speed. Soul Masters, when working in a team, could unleash even greater power than individuals. However, no matter how strong they were, there was a limit. Just like now, an unexpected situation occurred for those young Soul Masters. When they thought they could easily defeat their opponents, they were dealt a crushing blow. The 15 academies had a total of over 200 teachers and students, while the bandits who came down from the mountain numbered around 1,500. The moment the two sides clashed, these bandits displayed an even more astonishing level of teamwork. Often, 3 or 4 would gang up on one person, their attacks concise and powerful, catching the Soul Masters completely off guard. After all, these young Soul Masters' combat experience was built on small-scale battles, and unlike now, it wasn't a matter of life or death. This was Yichu's first time fighting on such a large scale. Dazzling soul skills began to appear, But the men in black were well trained. With their considerable speed and teamwork, ordinary first and second ring soul skills were hardly effective against them. Moreover, among these men in black were high-level soul masters, at least 30 of them being powerful soul masters above level 50. Whenever a powerful soul skill appeared, they would immediately step in, averaging 2 soul masters against each academy. In this way, the bandits' wolf pack tactics proved highly effective, and the situation became completely deadlocked. "Conserve your soul power and lure the opponents in," Yichu immediately whispered to Xiao Wu and the others. He had already sensed the subtle gazes fixed on him. 1,500 people were attacking 15 academies. Each academy was assigned approximately 100 enemies. The 2 soul masters from Blue Tyrant Academy both possessed 5 soul rings, and both had optimal soul ring combinations. But for Xiao Wu and the others, they were still too weak. The battle immediately reached a stalemate. Xiaolan's Blue-Silver Emperor was a powerful tool for restraining the opponents. Blue-Silver Emperor vines spread out along the ground, quickly attacking the enemies. Any opponent who approached would immediately be entangled by the Blue-Silver Emperor vines. Facing danger, Yichu's senses were extremely sharp. Looking back, he saw 3 figures rushing towards him simultaneously. As soon as these 3 appeared, Yichu immediately felt some pressure. With his current strength, even some soul saints wouldn't dare say they could easily defeat Yichu. But the combined pressure from those 3 exceeded the pressure Liu Erlong had exerted on him. In other words, the combined strength of these 3 individuals far surpasses that of a soul Douluo above level 80. That's beyond the reach of a level 50 soul King Whoosh. The 3 men in black confirmed Yichu's suspicions by displaying the number of their soul rings. 8, 7, 7. 1 soul Douluo and 2 soul saints unleashed their martial souls. Incredibly powerful soul power fluctuations erupted instantly. Have a pleasant life, everyone. Chapter 689 Reunion with the Dragon God and Snake Goddess. Suddenly seeing the appearance of 3 powerful figures, Yichu and Liu Erlong were also taken aback. Their opponents, 2 soul masters in their 50s, had been extremely slippery in battle. Both were agility-based attackers, and Xiao Wu and the others were conserving their soul power, merely stalling for time. They hadn't been able to destroy them yet. Now, seeing the 3 powerful figures appear, the 2 soul kings turned and fled, their figures rapidly approaching. The expressions of the Blue Tyrant Academy members turned grave. 1 soul Douluo, 2 soul saints, and 2 soul kings. They knew all too well how strong such a combination was. Perhaps only by activating their martial soul true body could they have a fighting chance. At this point, relying on those present for assistance was unrealistic. The other soul master academies were trapped. The royal knights, who had come to their aid, were blocked by a group of black-clad bandits. At least for the time being, no one would help them. Moreover, these surrounding academies were all competitors. Even if they could spare the time, they might not help them. The masked soul Douluo in black snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, 5 people simultaneously pressed towards them. 2 soul saints lunged at Liu Erlong, while he led 2 soul kings to attack Yichu and the others. Yichu frowned. He reached out to protect Xiao Wu and the other girls behind him, his eternal kaleidoscope shining brightly. Amaterasu and Kagutsuchi were already poised to strike. Even a level 80 soul Douluo, unless they had an exceptionally strong sense of danger, would have virtually no chance of dodging Yichu's Amaterasu. Let alone those who were close by. "Husband, you and the sisters be careful, I'm going to break their legs right now," Liu Erlong shouted sharply, immediately unfurling her thunder flame dragon wings. The enhancement of all attributes by the external soul bone was absolutely terrifying. The 2 soul saints were indeed no match for Liu Erlong. But soul saint level soul masters not only possessed martial soul true body, but also numerous soul skills. It would take time to determine a winner. Moreover, her opponents were a winged tiger soul saint and an ironclad turtle soul saint, one offensive and one defensive. Liu Erlong's battle had already begun, and she had no doubt about Yichu's safety. Liu Erlong's battle was temporarily at a stalemate. These 2 masked soul saints seemed to be targeting Liu Erlong specifically. While their martial souls might not be able to completely suppress Liu Erlong, they could certainly delay her. The black-clad masked soul Douluo's gaze fell directly on Yichu, his eyes instantly turning sinister. He let out a long howl and soared into the air, rushing straight towards Yichu. The 2 soul kings didn't move at all, completely giving him the attack position. Golden light erupted from the black-clad masked Douluo, his arms vibrating in the air. They had transformed into a pair of golden wings. An even larger golden shadow appeared behind him, his clothes replaced by golden feathers, revealing the true form of his martial soul, a golden eagle. As his wings took shape, his arms detached from them, transforming into two sharp eagle claws. Simultaneously, his body began to rapidly shrink and change, becoming increasingly similar to the golden eagle illusion behind him. The expressions of Du Guyan and the other women changed. While the immense pressure in the air wasn't enough to break them, this soul Douluo had immediately used his seventh soul skill, martial soul true body, clearly intending a quick victory. Yichu, however, remained calm. The larger his opponent became, the easier he felt to handle him. With those 8 bright soul rings, 3 yellow, 2 purple, and 3 black, Yichu even felt that he could fight this weak soul Douluo head-on with his martial soul true body. It just wouldn't last. The 7th soul ring glowed black light around his golden body, looking terrifyingly powerful. At this moment, Yichu immediately waved his hand behind him, signaling Xiao Wu and the others to retreat. Du Guyan and the others obediently protected Yi Lingling and the other support-type soul masters, immediately retreating as well. The 2 soul kings didn't stop them from retreating. Neither of them went far, both gathering their soul power. Just as Yichu was about to unleash a powerful Amaterasu attack on the golden eagle, an aged voice suddenly rang out. "What kind of skill is it to bully a child? Long time no see, brother eagle." At the same time, a gentle aura enveloped Yichu. The pressure from his martial soul true body instantly eased. Yichu looked towards the direction of the voice with a sigh of relief. "Yichu, I've brought Grandpa and Grandma to help you." Not far away, Meng Yiren was standing on tiptoe, waving to Yichu. Her face showed worry, and her beautiful cheeks were faintly flushed. Yichu smiled helplessly. It's hardest to resist the kindness of a beautiful woman. Meng Yiren was truly enthusiastic about saving him. It was like that in the Stardew Great Forest, and it was like that now. Yichu quietly retreated, embracing Meng Yiren's waist. He rushed towards Xiao Wu and the others to join them. "Thank you for your trouble, seniors." Yichu didn't forget to greet Meng Yiren's grandparents. A tall, thin old man had appeared not far from the golden eagle. He glanced at Yichu, then looked away with a pained expression. The 4-meter-long cane seemed effortless in his hands. He was looking up at the golden eagle, which had revealed its true martial soul form in the sky, his face solemn. 8 spirit rings shone on his body. Du Guyan and the others didn't recognize this old man, but Ning Rongrong and the others did. It was none other than Meng Shu, the Dragon Lord, whom they had encountered when they went to the Stardew Great Forest. The golden eagle's pupils contracted. "Meng Shu, you'd better not interfere in what's happening here," the Dragon Lord smiled calmly. "It's you who've come looking for trouble, not me. My granddaughter is also among the participants in this competition. Do you think I would disregard her safety? I didn't expect Brother Eagle to become a bandit." How delightful! His words were full of sarcasm. Now anyone could see that these men in black were definitely not bandits. If bandits could have Soul Douluo in charge, wouldn't the world be in chaos? Golden Eagle snorted coldly. "Meng Shu, do you really want to go against us? Think about the consequences. This is not something you can get involved in." A fierce glint flashed in Dragon Duke's eyes. "Do you think I'm easily scared, Lordilla? Others may fear you, but I don't. If you have the guts, deal with this old man first. Otherwise, you won't be leaving here today." Golden Eagle's eyes darted around. An eagle's eyesight is undoubtedly extremely sharp. He immediately spotted another person on the battlefield, Snake Granny Chao Xiang, who was also wielding a cane. Snake Granny, who had already reached the Soul Saint realm, was currently holding off 2 Soul Kings of level 50-something on her own. Sensing the gaze coming from the sky, she coldly returned it. Wishing everyone a happy life. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 690 The White-Clad Chrysanthemum Douluo makes his debut. Lordira frowned. If the Dragon Lord and Snake Granny were alone, he could definitely fight them, given their elemental advantages. His martial soul was effective against both of them. However, when the Dragon Lord and Snake Granny were together, they were beyond his capabilities. Their martial soul fusion skill, Dragon Snake Combination Strike, had already reached a level of unparalleled mastery, capable of even contending with a title Douluo. Let alone him. A sharp cry rang out from the golden eagle Lord Ira's beak, the piercing sound cutting through the air. Dragon Lord Mengshu's expression changed slightly. You actually have accomplices, Lord Ira sneered. Mengshu, I advise you to quickly take Snake Granny and leave. We will never harm your granddaughter. If you don't leave now, you won't be able to leave later. I'm just a messenger. The Dragon Lord's expression returned to normal, but a storm raged within him. He knew, of course, where Lord Ira came from, but he had never revealed her identity. He had left himself an out, otherwise, a clear explanation would have inevitably led to a fight to the death. Seeing Lord Ira's composed demeanor, he began to consider retreating. What kind of stance had his granddaughter taken a liking to? Every time he was asked to intervene, it was either a 100,000-year-old soul beast or one of the most powerful forces on the entire continent. His old bones couldn't handle it. Lord Ira, you're really getting worse with age. You can't even handle such a simple situation. A soft, feminine voice drifted from afar. It seemed he was still far away when he called Lord Ira's name, but as soon as he finished speaking the last word, a figure silently appeared before them. It was still a masked man, his age impossible to discern from his voice. However, he wasn't wearing black. Instead, he was dressed in white and masked. Upon seeing this person, Yichu merely frowned. Mengshu, however, grunted and quickly took a step back, his expression changing drastically. Old man, Snake Granny rushed over to Xiangxiang. The couple's auras coalesced, barely managing to withstand the invisible pressure. The white-robed man let out an eerie laugh. So it's an old friend. No wonder Lord Ira couldn't handle it. Long time no see. You two, the peerless dragon and snake couple, you've got some nerve, forcing me to intervene. Dragon Duke's expression turned extremely solemn, fear filling his eyes. You've come to, the white-robed man spoke in his effeminate voice, since you've seen me, then get lost. You should understand how seriously we take this. Alright, Dragon Duke agreed with surprising ease. He turned and left with Snake Granny without a moment's hesitation. Dragon Duke beckoned to Meng Yiren. Yiren, come with us, we can't save Yichu? Meng Yiren looked at her grandfather in surprise. She was about to say something, but was stopped by Meng Shu's sharp gaze. When she looked back at Yichu, her eyes were filled with apology. It's alright, the one on the other side is a title Douluo. Yichu smiled and shook his head. A title Douluo? Meng Yiren's eyes were filled with shock. She gritted her teeth and said to Longguang, Grandpa, you and Grandma go first, I want to stay here. Meng Yiren tightly gripped Yichu's sleeve. She was determined to follow this man. This is ridiculous. Meng Shiren was going crazy. Knowing it was a title Douluo, why didn't he run away? Was this kid's face really that charming? Yiren, you should leave first. I'll be fine. I'll come find you after this is over. Yichu smiled and pushed Meng Yiren into Snake Granny's arms. Yichu, the peerless dragon and snake couple, carrying Meng Yiren, disappeared into the distance in a few leaps. The white-robed man turned his gaze to the golden eagle in the sky and said impatiently, Why don't you hurry up and snatch that kid back? Do I have to do it myself? Yes, sir. Immense pressure once again enveloped Yichu. Yichu was just about to make a move. A peculiar aura, carrying a faint fragrance, emanated from the white-robed man, instantly spreading to them. Yichu felt somewhat unable to move. The other women, Ningrongrong and Yi Lingling, couldn't even use their soul power. Just as the golden eagle was about to swoop down, a layer of golden red light suddenly emerged from Xiao Wu. Yichu felt lighter. Everyone simultaneously regained their ability to move. Wait a moment, the white-robed man lightly waved his right hand. A surge of energy caused the air to distort violently. His 9 soul rings flashed and disappeared. Under the influence of that immense soul power, the swooping golden eagle was actually shaken into the air. Yichu knew his identity, an elder of the Spirit Hall, a level 95 title Douluo. Title Chrysanthemum. The white-robed man's gaze focused on Xiao Wu, his eyes filled with curiosity. You were actually able to break my aura barrier. His nose twitched, no one could see his expression, but his eyes revealed a hint of shock. Acacia Heartbreak Red. It's Acacia Heartbreak Red. It actually smells like Acacia Heartbreak Red. The white-robed man's emotions became visibly agitated. In a flash, he lunged at Xiao Wu, raising a hand to grab her. You've gained the approval of Acacia Heartbreak Red. Boom. A powerful sonic boom resounded. Yichu saw Chrysanthemum Douluo's movements clearly. The massive hand of Susanoo slammed towards Chrysanthemum Douluo, covering the white figure. A flicker of surprise crossed the white-robed man's eyes, and he sneered. His body spun in midair, a faint yellow light spreading out. Susanoo's massive hand merely reached out, allowing Chrysanthemum Douluo to slip past. The next instant, his hand stopped less than an inch from Xiao Wu's neck, but he didn't grab her. Xiao Wu was closest to him and could clearly feel the white-robed man's trembling. It was the kind of emotion one would only see in a state of extreme excitement. A title Douluo. The white-robed man before them was undoubtedly a peak existence in the Soul Master world. Yet he was so agitated at this moment. Then, Chrysanthemum Douluo became even more agitated, because Xiao Wu had vanished before his eyes. What happened? A shrill voice rang out. The white-robed man immediately looked in Yichu's direction. The vortex before him slowly disappeared. Yichu breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, he had anticipated this and was prepared. Boy, what did you do? Chrysanthemum Douluo narrowed his eyes, even more curious about this boy whom the Pope had specifically requested. Nothing, just protecting them. Yichu smiled and shrugged. Chrysanthemum Douluo was stunned, only then realizing, all the girls were gone. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 691 Chrysanthemum Poison Ghost, 3 Title Douluos. How did you do that? The man in white was filled with astonishment. This kid was very strange. Now, looking back, Chrysanthemum Douluo's eyes narrowed even more. And just now, this kid's attack was incredibly bizarre. Its attack power far exceeded that of a Soul Emperor. That seemed to be a martial soul true body. Yichu smiled, now free from restraints. He was more relaxed. Your Majesty, did the Pope not tell you about my soul skill, kid? You actually know? Chrysanthemum Douluo's surprise deepened. Yichu didn't answer. He said to himself, since that's the case, Your Majesty only needs me, everyone else is irrelevant. Irrelevant? Chrysanthemum Douluo raised an eyebrow and hissed, what do you know? That's a celestial grade among celestial grades, the Acacia Heartbreak Red, of course I know. Among those people just now, some had even taken a Kirin Tongshan Chrysanthemum. Yichu shrugged dismissively. What? The miraculous chrysanthemum of heaven? Chrysanthemum Douluo couldn't help but scream. That was the most suitable immortal item for him. Who is it? Who is it, Your Majesty? Does it matter who it is? Yichu shook his head helplessly. Hearing this, the white-robed title Douluo seemed to have figured something out. He let out a series of sinister laughs, which made people's skin crawl. Don't worry, I won't kill you, they must have been hidden by you. As long as I capture you, that's enough. As he spoke, Chrysanthemum Douluo raised his right hand towards Yichu. The air suddenly froze. A sharp whistle rang out. Liu Erlong went berserk. The huge fire dragon's true form transformed into an arc in midair, and with a flick of its tail, the remaining iron-clad turtle soul master was sent flying. Immediately afterwards, her huge body crashed down towards the white-robed title Douluo like a fiery meteor. If you dare to hurt him, you're dead. Liu Erlong knew about Bibi Dong's feelings for Yichu. If Yichu was injured, she would definitely make the other party repay 1,000-fold. The white-robed title Douluo's eyes narrowed. Facing Liu Erlong's all-out attack, even he dared not be careless. He swung the Kirin Tongshan Chrysanthemum in his hand. The large purple flower fluttered in the wind, and 3 of the 9 spirit rings on his body quietly shone. The speed was so fast that it was impossible to catch which spirit ring was working. The next moment, the huge purple flower had formed a huge barrier in the air. It forcefully blasted Liu Erlong's martial soul true body away. In the air, Liu Erlong only let out a muffled groan. A mutated blue lightning tyrant dragon is nothing more than this. Even with Liu Erlong's strength, the Chrysanthemum Douluo's level 95 cultivation could not withstand it. Erlong, don't worry about me. I'll be fine, Yichu ordered Liu Erlong. The Golden Eagle Soul Master who had been watching from the side immediately attacked Liu Erlong. Chrysanthemum Pass, do you think our Blue Tyrant Academy has no one left? Watch me blow your chrysanthemum to pieces, a familiar voice rang out. Chrysanthemum Douluo's expression suddenly changed. The pressure on Yichu immediately lessened. Douluo, now with black hair, quietly appeared. He stepped through the air, approaching the battlefield step by step. Although Chrysanthemum Douluo was still beside Yichu, he dared not make a move. Both were titled Douluos. Their auras locked onto each other the moment they made contact. No matter who made a move, it would immediately attract the opponent's fierce attack. And at their level, once they fell into a disadvantageous position, turning the tide was harder than climbing to heaven. Moreover, Chrysanthemum Douluo had not forgotten that last time he was riddled with holes by Douluo's iron egg. Senior Douluo, Yichu greeted him with a smile. Kid, not bad mentality. Douluo nodded slightly, a smile also on his face. Old Poison, when did you become this academy's lackey? His effeminate voice had become cold and sharp. You're the lackey. Sissy, Douluo's expression changed, and he cursed directly. This kid is my granddaughter's husband, and I'm a guest elder of Blue Tyrant Academy. If you want to touch him, I'll smash your ass first. Douluo's eyes were still green, and the powerful aura of the azure phosphorus serpent emperor permeated the air. The immense pressure generated by the confrontation between the two titled Douluos slowed down the battle of the thousands of people around them. Faced with this immense pressure, even breathing became difficult. Chrysanthemum Douluo's gaze was fixed on Douluo. He glanced at Yichu, his eyes filled with surprise, and said coldly, Douluo, you should think carefully about what the consequences will be if you oppose us. Douluo snorted disdainfully. I think you should think about your own affairs first. He has more than just me behind him. Don't think that your martial arts. Shut up. Do you really want to die? Chrysanthemum Douluo roared, interrupting Douluo's words. Old Poisoner, we both know the hardships we endured to reach the title Douluo level. I don't want to see you die over this. If you know what's good for you, leave now, Douluo said coldly. Chrysanthemum Guan, I've already said Yichu is my grandson-in-law. We're family. If you want to harm him, you'll have to get past me first. A giant python coiled behind Douluo, his 9 spirit rings already visible. A pair of soul-chasing darts appeared in his hands. Chrysanthemum Guan, I want to see what makes you so arrogant in front of me. Even if your spirit power is higher than mine, I'm not someone to be trifled with. Bastard, don't call me Chrysanthemum Guan. Chrysanthemum Douluo was about to explode, his voice becoming exceptionally sharp. You sissy, what else should I call you but Chrysanthemum Guan? You look like a chrysanthemum seller, Douluo chuckled. The angrier his opponent, the more excited he became. In this situation, although the opponent still held the advantage, it wasn't that significant. Douluo's forte is area of effect damage. Once he unleashes it without hesitation, the seemingly numerous men in black will be unable to survive his deadly poison. Well said. Chrysanthemum Pass is Chrysanthemum Pass, that can never be changed. Old Poison Master, I support you. A hoarse voice quietly appeared in midair. Hearing this voice, Douluo's expression immediately turned grim. Yichu's eyes flashed with a hint of bloodlust. A black figure silently appeared beside the golden eagle. Horrifyingly, the figure was impossible to see clearly. Even Yichu's Sharingan had difficulty discerning it. The black figure raised a hand and patted the golden eagle's head. The next moment, Lordius had already reverted to his original form. Liu Erlong's crimson dragon form immediately lowered, guarding Yichu's side. But Yichu turned around and tried to take Liu Erlong into his divine might space. Have a pleasant life, everyone. Chapter 692 Sword Dao Chengxin arrives. Sensing a slight distortion of space, Liu Erlong shook her head in resistance. Husband, I'll be fine if I don't go in. Having not fought like this in a long time, she felt a surge of excitement. Alright. Yichu gently stroked the burning hot dragon head and said softly, if the title Douluo start fighting later, don't get involved, husband. I'm not stupid. The enormous crimson dragon rolled its eyes at Yichu. Yichu chuckled and looked back at the ghost Douluo who had just joined the battle. You brat, you can still laugh. Douluo glared at Yichu. Chrysanthemum Douluo looked up at the dark figure and complained, you damn ghost, do you have to annoy me to feel comfortable? The dark figure chuckled. You've already wasted too much time. If you waste any more, everyone will know who we are. Hurry up and make your move. I'll hold off Old Poison, you take down the people you need, and we can go back to drink and eat meat. Yichu sighed inwardly. He hadn't expected Bibi Dong to be so impatient. She directly sent people to rob them openly. Hearing the two talking, Douluo's eyes turned completely emerald green. With a sway, he immediately revealed his true form as the azure phosphorus serpent emperor. This time, he didn't speak again, but directly pounced on Chrysanthemum Douluo on the ground. Old Poison, your opponent is me. A black shadow flashed, instantly blocking Douluo, who had transformed into the azure phosphorus serpent emperor. The collision produced a clang. Just this one sound was enough to knock all the soul masters with soul power below level 40 to the ground. The war horses of the royal knights didn't even have time to whimper before collapsing to the ground, foaming at the mouth. Ghostly demons, if you dare touch Xiao today, you'll face death as your revenge. Douluo was furious. He never expected that ghostly demons and Chrysanthemum Douluo, these two henchmen, would appear here at the same time. Although he knew Bibi Dong valued Xiao highly, he never expected that she would send two titled Douluos. Could it be that the disappearance of his benefactor back then was really related to her? When Blue Tyrant Academy finished the promotion competition and headed to Spirit City, Douluo, under Xiao's arrangement, had already quietly followed them, hidden in the shadows, just in case the current situation occurred. But he never imagined that he, as a titled Douluo, would also have a helpless moment. Facing two titled Douluos at the same time, and both of them with higher soul power levels than him, he had absolutely no chance. Even using the mother-child soul-chasing life-stealing dart, he couldn't act freely in this chaotic battlefield. Especially since he was trying to save someone. If the roles were reversed, perhaps he could have succeeded. The Black Shadow's words angered Chrysanthemum Douluo. But he knew he couldn't delay any longer. His icy, viper-like gaze pierced Xiao. At that moment, Xiao suddenly shouted, "Erlong, come with me." Simultaneously, bloodlust flickered in his eyes, and Liu Erlong no longer resisted. Faced with Xiao's Tsukuyomi, even a titled Douluo like him was momentarily stunned when the light pierced his eyes, his body swaying slightly. In that instant, Xiao and Liu Erlong's figures began to distort. "Good lad," Chrysanthemum Douluo exclaimed. 10 fluffy petals fluttered out, heading straight for Xiao. Those seemingly slow-moving petals, however, seemed to follow the laws of nature, sealing off Xiao's aura and all gaps. Yet, they didn't harm Xiao or Liu Erlong in the slightest. How is this possible? Gone, where? Suddenly, a strange feeling arose in Chrysanthemum Douluo's heart. He suddenly realized that everything he saw before him seemed to be split apart. That was a division of the entire space. Everything around him became silent. He seemed to be unable to hear any sound around him anymore. The petals of the 10 rare and powerful chrysanthemums suddenly turned into powder and scattered in all directions. A tall, upright figure dressed in white quietly blocked his view. Sword Dao Chenzin. Chrysanthemum Douluo's gaze became extremely solemn for the first time. Even when Douluo appeared earlier, he had not shown such an expression. Standing in front of him was Sword Douluo. His white robes were spotless, and his silver hair was neatly combed. In his hand was a sword, about 3 feet long, without any decoration, a pure silver longsword. Sword Douluo's expression was indifferent. His eyes seemed to be unable to see anything around him. He just stood there quietly, without saying a word, giving people an aura of arrogance. Chrysanthemum Douluo felt that his palms were a little wet. That was sweat. He was not afraid of Douluo because at their level, it was difficult for poison to have any effect on them. Douluo's true strength was still slightly inferior to those of the titled Douluos with powerful martial souls. However, the person before him was different. The titled Douluo known for his strongest attack had all his attributes countered. Among the known titled Douluos, this Sword Douluo was definitely one of the most effective counters. Moreover, he could sense that the Sword Douluo's aura had become even stronger than before. Could it be that he had taken another step towards a higher realm? Already at level 97. Chenzin, even you've gotten involved in this mess, Chrysanthemum Douluo said, his voice blustering but his tone weak. You Guan, you're a titled Douluo, yet you're bullying a child here. And hiding your true colors like this, aren't you afraid of being ridiculed? Chenzin's voice wasn't loud, but it stopped everyone in the battle except for Douluo and the Black Shadow. His voice was like a sharp blade, cutting into everyone's hearts. He then lectured, even your intelligence gathering is a complete mess. Don't you know Xiao is the son-in-law of my 7 treasure glazed tile school? What? Chrysanthemum Douluo's eyes widened. He glanced at Douluo. Hadn't he just said he was his granddaughter's husband? He regained his composure. Chrysanthemum Douluo said coldly, so, your 7 treasure glazed tile school really intends to oppose us? Although his aura was strong, Chrysanthemum Douluo's face, hidden behind his veil, had become extremely ugly. He knew that today's mission was probably doomed. 2 titled Douluos had failed to complete the mission. This was a huge loss of face. Chrysanthemum Douluo, Xiao is like family to us. Don't you even know that? A clear, elegant voice rang out. Ningfengzi, dressed simply, had appeared on a protrusion on the hill. The 7 treasure-glazed tile pagoda shimmered with light, its 7 spirit rings fluctuating. Although it was only 7 rings, the moment Chrysanthemum Douluo Yuguan saw Ningfengzi, he had already made up his mind. They had to run. Wishing you all a happy life. Chapter 693 Subduing the Enemy Without Fighting. Standing beside Ningfengzi was Zhu King, the crown prince of the Heavendao Empire. His calm eyes swept across the entire area. Not seeing Yichu made him frown. Just then, space rippled, and Yichu's figure appeared in the air. Beside him was a large, broad-shouldered figure. Yichu. Why did you bring this old bone along? Sword Douluo looked up, his eyes filled with surprise. Senior Sword, I just wanted to subdue the enemy without fighting, Yichu chuckled dryly, seeing the already retreating Chrysanthemum Douluo. Ningfengzi shook his head helplessly. Yichu's soul skills were simply too extraordinary. Hey Chrysanthemum Douluo, when did your spirit hall become so shameless? Bone Douluo chuckled, looking down at Chrysanthemum Douluo, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. He hadn't had a proper fight since breaking through to level 96. Gurong, Chrysanthemum Douluo stared in disbelief at the figure in the air, even more curious and shocked by Yichu's soul skills. They dared not linger any longer. We admit defeat today. However, we will remember this debt. Ghost, let's go. With a deafening roar, Douluo, transformed into the azure phosphorus serpent emperor, retreated explosively. The two titled Douluo, Yuguan and Ghost, vanished silently. The men in black retreated like a tide, taking their companions' corpses with them as they fled, leaving not a single weapon behind. They came fast, and retreated even faster. In the blink of an eye, these bandits who posed a deadly threat had disappeared on the other side of the hill. Yichu, where are Rongrong and the others? Ningfengzi looked at Yichu, who had landed beside him, and asked with a smile. They're all fine, Yichu smiled. His divine power activated, and the figures of Xiao Wu, Rongrong, and Duguyan appeared before him. Daddy, why are you here? As soon as she appeared, Rongrong excitedly rushed forward and threw herself into Ningfengzi's arms. At this moment, she had forgotten to hide her identity from the other academies. And Grandpa Bone and Grandpa Sword, Bone Douluo laughed. Haha, Rongrong, why don't you stay with Grandpa Bone for a bit? Grandpa's going back soon. Grandpa, why are you here too? Duguyan ran towards her grandfather. She had only seen Yichu shake Bone Douluo over. That kid Yichu anticipated this and had him follow us secretly. Douluo stroked his beard. The expressions of the students from Blazing Fire Academy and Divine Wind Academy not far away became extremely interesting. Ho Wu was even more shocked. Ho Wushileng and Feng Xiaoshan exchanged a glance, and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Blue Tyrant Academy actually had the daughter of the 7 treasure-glazed tile school sect leader hidden there. And the granddaughter of Douluo, the poison Douluo. It had even led to a battle between 5 titled Douluos. Just who is Yichu? Ho Wu felt that if she didn't get involved, she might never see Yichu's true face. The closer they got, the thicker the fog became. Even Shui Binger and Shui Yuer looked at Yichu with increasing admiration. Ningfengzi's mere presence was enough to force his opponents to retreat. The reason was simple. Although his own offensive and defensive abilities weren't strong, with him around, 1 titled Douluo was equivalent to 2. With his assistance, even if Sword Douluo hadn't broken through to level 97, the two of them together were enough to deal with Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo. Not to mention Douluo. Ningfengzi smiled, holding his daughter. I'm not here to protect you. I've been entrusted by His Majesty to protect His Highness the Crown Prince. As the Crown Prince, Zhu King was the future of the Heavendao Empire. How could Emperor Ziyi allow him to take such a risk? That's why he requested Ningfengzi's secret protection. Originally, Ningfengzi and Zhu King were supposed to be in the same carriage. But because Zhu King was going to meet Yichu in secret and sleep with him, an extra carriage was arranged. As the sect master of the 7 treasure-glazed tile school, Ningfengzi always had a powerful guardian by his side. This time, it was Sword Douluo accompanying him, while Bone Douluo was stationed at the 7 treasure-glazed tile school. In the previous battles, neither of them had rushed to appear. Originally, when Golden Eagle Soul Douluo was about to make his move for the second time, Chen Zhen was prepared to intervene. But who knew that Douluo would suddenly appear? As a result, the suspense of the battle was lost. When the 2 members of the 7 treasure-glazed tile school appeared, they had already completely suppressed their opponents. However, they did not expect Yichu to be so fast, and even brought Douluo along. In this way, even if those two titled Douluos were stupid, they would know to take their men and run away. Force the opponents to retreat. Everyone felt a sense of relief. If the Soul Master Academy was completely indifferent when those bandits first appeared, then when Chrysanthemum and Ghost, the two titled Douluos, appeared one after the other, their hearts were in their throats. Those were titled Douluos. There were as many as 5 of them today. This was almost equivalent to a quarter or a fifth of the entire continent. Before a titled Douluo, they were so insignificant. Zuking and Yichu exchanged a glance. Then they stood on higher ground, fully displaying their imperial upbringing. With the enemy retreating, he immediately and methodically began directing the royal knights, pulling undamaged carriages to the front, tending to the war horses, and restoring formation. In just a short while, except for the dead war horses, most of the 500 royal knights had recovered their fighting strength. The black-clad bandits hadn't shown much killing intent during the initial engagement. Most had only engaged in defensive maneuvering, buying time for the two titled Douluos. Therefore, the casualties on both sides weren't very high. After completing his tasks, Zuking returned to Ningfengzi's side and respectfully asked, "Teacher, what do you think we should do next?" Ningfengzi smiled calmly. "Continue as planned. Having learned their lesson, they shouldn't act rashly again. After all, there's not enough time for them to organize a second robbery." "Yes, continue." Under Zuking's command, the group continued forward, but the atmosphere had clearly become tense. Yichu immediately boarded the carriage from Blue Tyrant Academy. He knew he was now the center of attention, but he didn't care. After all, he had already become the focus. The mission of those two titled Douluos was clearly to abduct him. Being targeted by a titled Douluo-level powerhouse made Yichu feel uneasy. Ningrongrong and the other girls didn't board the carriage. Even Zuking waited nearby, exchanging a glance with Liu Erlong. Those who boarded the carriage were Ningfengzi, Chenzhen, Douluo, and Douluo. They all felt it necessary to have a detailed talk with Yichu. Have a pleasant life. Chapter 694 The Obligation You Give Yourself. Yichu appeared quite calm. He felt no extra emotion about something he had anticipated. Ningfengzi nodded to Douluo first, smiling in acknowledgement. Sword Douluo Chenzhen also greeted them. They were all already on their side. Greeting each other was second nature. Looking at Yichu's composed expression, Ningfengzi asked, puzzled, "Yichu, you seem to have known all along that the spirit hall would make a move against you." Douluo nodded, glancing at Yichu beside him, a look of worry on his face. "Kid, shouldn't you hide for a while? The spirit hall's purpose might not be simple." Ningfengzi nodded, "That's what I thought too. Although they probably won't make another move before the finals, I don't know what will happen after that." Yichu shook his head, reassuring him, "Don't worry, Uncle Ning, the spirit hall probably doesn't have any ill intentions towards me. They just want to capture me alive." "How can you be so sure, kid?" Douluo looked at Yichu, puzzled. This matter is a bit complicated, and I don't know how to explain it yet." Yichu shook his head with a wry smile. He had told Douluo about this before, but Douluo didn't believe him at all. "Alright, since you know what you're doing, we won't say anything more." Ningfengzi didn't say anything more. Yichu and the others had a bright future, they just needed a little more time. Not long after, Ningfengzi and the others left the carriage. Yichu also sent Douluo back to the 7 treasure glazed tile school. When Yichu reappeared, Meng Yiren was already sitting with Xiao Wu and the others. Seeing Yichu walking towards them, she immediately stood up, her eyes filled with a hint of guilt. "Yichu, I'm sorry, haha, there's no need to apologize, you've already done your best." Yichu didn't care at all, he didn't really like girls standing in front of him in these kinds of situations. In that situation, the two seniors couldn't really help much. If something really happened to them, you probably wouldn't have time to regret it. "I'm sorry." Hearing Yichu's voice, Meng Yiren still lowered her head and bit her red lips. She felt she hadn't fulfilled her obligations, even though they were obligations she had imposed on herself. "I already said there's no need to apologize." Yichu chuckled, glancing at Liu Erlong and the other girls, then raised his hand. He gently pinched Meng Yiren's chin, slowly lifting it, meeting her gaze. "You protect me, and I protect you. There's nothing to apologize for." Yichu chuckled, looking at Meng Yiren's flushed face, lowering his head to lightly touch her thin lips, the slight moisture making them even more alluring. Meng Yiren's body trembled slightly, her eyes filled with disbelief as she sensed the sweetness on her lips, unable to resist moving her red lips. Just a slight touch, a gentle friction. Meng Yiren felt a tingling, intoxicating sensation. How, thank you, Yichu smiled, raising his head to pinch Meng Yiren's cheek. Then his gaze met Zhu Qing's eyes not far away. His smile stiffened slightly. He glanced past Zhu Qing, then looked at Ning Rongrong and Bai Chengxiang. Take a good rest, we'll be setting off soon, Yichu instructed Xiao Wu and the other girls before quickly running towards Zhu Qing. Yichu Meng Yiren watched Yichu's retreating figure, touching her still slightly numb red lips. Her face flushed, and she couldn't help but feel shy. HMPH. You rascal. Ning Rongrong snorted, but didn't complain much. After all, they had all seen Meng Yiren's attitude towards Yichu. Rongrong, why don't you sit down and rest for a while, Jiang Zhu reminded her from the side. Meng Yiren was filled with joy, but also felt a little anxious. She turned to look at Ning Rongrong and Du Guyan. Sisters, is Yichu? From now on, we're family. Liu Erlong looked up and smiled. Liu Erlong didn't feel much aversion towards Meng Yiren. She was very good at handling things. Sister Erlong is right, Zhu Huqing looked at Meng Yiren with a smile. She didn't resist the girl in front of her either. The Soul Master teams from the Heaven Dao Empire continue their journey. No further incidents occurred during the rest of the journey. To better protect these Soul Masters, Zhu Qing temporarily transferred 3,000 ironclad army soldiers from the cities they passed through to assist in the escort. He also summoned some Soul Master experts from the capital to come quickly. Along the way, the atmosphere among the Blue Tyrant Academy members was rather cheerful. It seemed no one cared about the robbery. However, the occasional disturbances from Ho Wu, Shui Yuir, and even Shui Binger filled the girls with resentment towards Yichu. As for Meng Yiren, she had already started spending the night in the Blue Tyrant Academy's carriages. Yichu, lying on those soft surfaces, would occasionally touch her. Several days passed. Finally, the entire group arrived at Wuhan City. Due to Wuhan City's special regulations, Zhu Qing ordered the Ironclad Army and the Royal Knights to remain outside the city. He only led 15 Soul Master teams into Wuhan City. Compared to massive cities like Heaven Dao City and Soto City, Wuhan City was much smaller, not even a tenth the size of Heaven Dao City. However, the awe it brought to the Soul Masters was still considerable. The relatively small Spirit City's walls were built entirely of granite, following the standards of a capital city. Even the wealthy Ningfengzi couldn't help but marvel at Spirit City. It's important to understand that this city didn't exist originally, it was entirely funded and built by the Spirit Hall. A towering building rises from the ground. How difficult was it to construct such a city? A cardinal greeted them from Spirit City, and under his guidance, the group of over 200 people was quickly settled into a hotel on the west side of Spirit City. To the young Soul Master's surprise, even the hotel staff were at least level 20 great Soul Masters with soul power above that level. Where else would Soul Masters do such work? This demonstrated the Spirit Hall's formidable strength. Due to the attack en route, Zhu Qing and Ningfengzi had deliberately chosen to stay not far from Yichu. Although Spirit City was the least likely place for anything to happen, precautions still had to be taken. According to the message from the Spirit Hall, the competition will officially begin in 3 days. After a long journey, these 3 days of rest will be enough for each academy to adjust. The academies from the Douluo Empire participating have been arranged to rest on the other side of Spirit City. In effect, the Spirit Hall has divided the participating teams from the two great empires into two camps. Zhu Qing scoffed at this, offering only a cold laugh, but raised no objection. Have a pleasant day, everyone. Chapter 695. As expected of the man I chose. The finals consist of 33 teams, one seeded team each from the Heaven Dao Empire and the Douluo Empire, one seeded team from the Spirit Hall, and 15 teams each from the two empires that qualified through the preliminary and qualifying rounds. The finals format differs from the preliminary and qualifying rounds, essentially combining them. It can be divided into 3 stages: the knockout stage, the semifinals, and the finals. The most brutal stage, the knockout stage, begins with a draw to determine opponents. It roughly consists of 4 rounds, with some teams receiving a bye in each round. In the first round, the 3 seeded teams from the two empires and the Spirit Hall receive a bye. The remaining 30 teams are drawn. Winners advance, losers are eliminated. In the second round, The two teams ranked first in the qualifying rounds from the two empires receive a bye. The remaining 16 teams, including the 3-seeded teams, compete against each other. Winners advance, losers are eliminated. In the third round, the two teams ranked second in the qualifying rounds from the two empires receive a bye. If either team is eliminated early, the remaining teams will be ranked according to their place in the qualifying rounds. Thus, the two teams will receive a bye, and the other 8 teams will compete against each other. The winners will advance, and the losers will be eliminated. In the fourth round, no teams will receive a bye. The remaining 6 teams will draw lots and then compete against each other to determine the top 3. At this point, the knockout stage ends. The remaining 3 teams will compete in the semifinals. The semifinals are divided into 2 stages. The first stage uses the same format as the qualifying rounds, an individual elimination tournament. It will be a one-on-one elimination battle. The loser will be eliminated, and the winner will continue to fight. The final winner will directly advance to the finals. The 2 losing teams will then compete in a team battle to determine the other finalist. The second stage, the final, uses the same format as the qualifying rounds, a 7-person team battle. It's a single decisive battle, and the winner will take home the championship reward provided by the Spirit Hall. During these 3 days of rest, Xiao naturally took Xiao Wu and the others for a leisurely stroll and shopping on the street. With Ning around, even though most of the items sold in the shops were related to Soul Masters and relatively expensive, it was still a drop in the bucket for her. However, Shui Yuer and Ho Wu also frequently came over. Perhaps they had seen Meng Yiren's success story, as they often gathered with the other girls, especially the relatively easygoing Meng Yiren who had just joined. Since they didn't come looking for him, Xiao wouldn't actively provoke them. He had already gone further and further down the path of being a scumbag. Unable to stop himself, Liu Erlong was also quite interested in the spirit city. She had come here before to find Xiao, cause trouble, and was then chased away by Bibi Dong. Watching Ning Rongrong and the others constantly picking and choosing in the shops, Liu Erlong took Xiao's arm and asked with a smile, "Husband, what do you think she'll be like when she sees you?" "I don't know." Xiao shook his head helplessly. He hadn't even met Bibi Dong yet and couldn't imagine what she would be like when she saw him. Moreover, everyone says she's crazy, and there are 2 Bibi Dongs. Who knows if this madwoman will tear him apart? Why does my husband seem a little worried? "Don't worry, she shouldn't hurt you," Liu Erlong said softly with a smile. "That's for the best," Xiao smiled wryly. If Bibi Dong really wanted to attack him, he really didn't know what she could use to break his divine power. For the finals of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Tournament, the Spirit Hall specially set up a dedicated competition venue in Spirit City. This venue is located in the center of Spirit City. The huge arena was 100 meters in diameter, entirely constructed of solid granite. This massive arena was reinforced with a large number of soul tools to prevent serious damage. According to the information provided by the Spirit Hall, this venue was strong enough to withstand any attack from soul masters below the Soul Emperor level without damage. Only a wealthy organization like the Spirit Hall would do such a thing. At least the 2 great empires wouldn't be willing to expend such enormous resources. Directly in front of this competition venue is the Papal Palace. The distance from here to the hill where the Papal Palace is located is less than a kilometer. The Spirit Hall has announced in its posted notice that the final 3 teams in the Grand Finals will compete in front of the Papal Palace. The Pope will personally appear and crown the final champion. Spirit City is a sacred place in the hearts of all Spirit Masters. Such an honor is unparalleled for any Spirit Master. Early in the morning, all participating academies arrived at the competition venue under the guidance of special personnel from the Spirit Hall. Each academy has its own rest area, built around the competition venue. On the side opposite the Papal Palace is the VIP judging panel, where representatives from the 2 great empires watch the matches. Of course, there are also people from the Spirit Hall. Upon arrival, before even settling in, Liu Erlong was called away to draw lots. The first round of drawing lots is undoubtedly crucial for most teams. Drawing a relatively weak opponent is extremely advantageous for any team. Liu Erlong returned quickly. With a smile on her face, it seemed that the opponent she had drawn this time shouldn't be too strong. However, when Liu Erlong came over, Ho Wu was with her behind. "Husband, the draw results are out. Our opponent is Blazing Fire Academy." Everyone was stunned for a moment, looking at Ho Wu strangely. "Ho Wu, you're our opponent. What are you doing here? Du Yan looked at Xiao Wu with a smile, sizing her up. She was very clear about Xiao Wu's figure. Ningrongrong teased, are you going to beg for mercy? This is an elimination round. There was no hostility in her words. It was just a joke. Xiao Wu shook her head, looked at Yichu, and said with a smile, I'm here to bring you good news. Good news? You're going to forfeit the competition. Yichu raised his eyebrows, his increasingly blurred memories were stirred up. How did you know? Xiao Wu looked at Yichu in surprise. Yichu shrugged. I guessed. Xiao Wu narrowed her eyes, she didn't expect Yichu to be more intelligent than she had imagined. Very good, as expected of the man I've set my sights on, then guess why I'm forfeiting the competition, really? Is Blazing Fire Academy really forfeiting? Ningrongrong looked at Xiao Wu, puzzled. With this woman's personality, did she even know what it meant to avoid confrontation? Of course not. Yichu smiled and tapped Ningrongrong's head. Xiao Wu's pupils contracted slightly. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 696 The Three Great Academies Unite. Huh? Ningrongrong covered her head, giving Yichu a reproachful glare. Xiao Chu, how can it not be true? Xiao Wu asked, puzzled. Yes, brother, you were right about that fierce sister's reaction just now. Xiao Lan licked the candied hawthorn in her hand, her sticky red lips glistening. Hearing Xiao Lan's address, Xiao Wu looked a little embarrassed, but still looked at Yichu and snorted coldly. Tell me? Why did I withdraw from the competition? Yichu smiled teasingly and said lightly, I guess you guys have temporarily joined Shanfeng Academy. You? Xiao Wu looked at Yichu in shock. This was something she, Feng Xiaoshan, and Shui Binger had discussed privately. How could Yichu know? Could it be that Shui Yuer told you? Xianshu Academy is also participating. Yichu looked at Xiao Wu in surprise, his face full of confusion. You? Xiao Wu's expression changed slightly, somewhat annoyed. Unexpectedly, Yichu was completely unaware that Xianshu Academy had also forfeited the competition. Had he just handed over all his spoils? The three academies have joined forces. Zhu Zhuking's beautiful eyes narrowed slightly. It seemed that the pressure she had put on Xiao Wu and the others was indeed quite significant. HMPH. You'll find out sooner or later anyway. Yichu, I'm looking forward to facing you again on the field. Xiao Wu didn't say anything more, coldly snorted, and left. Yichu shook his head helplessly. Now, with the three academies united, their combined strength was indeed formidable. With everyone at the Soul Master level, they were already considered a strong team. The finals didn't have the grand opening ceremony that had been expected. Everything was simple. A cardinal from the Spirit Hall went on stage and announced the start of the finals. He also announced the matchups and the bye list. The matches began under the direction of referees specially selected by the Spirit Hall. The two sides in the first match weren't particularly strong. Yichu and the other girls, including Liu Erlong, couldn't help but whisper among themselves in their rest area. Xiao Lan pouted and said, Brother, why doesn't this finals look as grand as the qualifiers? There wasn't even an opening ceremony, and the number of spectators is pitifully small, maybe a few thousand at most. Yichu shook his head helplessly, about to explain. Hen Tian spoke up first. Sister Xiao Lan, although there are only a few thousand people here, don't forget, they are all soul masters, and most of them should belong to the Spirit Hall. Haha, Xiao Tian is right. Ningrongrong smiled and pinched her two younger sisters' cheeks. The Spirit Hall has its reasons for not allowing civilians to watch. After all, the final three-way match will be held in front of the Pope's palace. Yichu stroked his chin and smiled. That's when the real climax of the finals will happen. The current calm is likely preparation for that climax. The first match ended quickly. The second match was between Shenfeng Academy and Longqi Academy of the Star Luo Empire. They really did unite. When the Blue Tyrant Academy students saw the lineup of Shenfeng Academy, they couldn't help but be surprised. Among the Shenfeng Academy's lineup, 6 people had suddenly appeared. 4 of them were from Blazing Fire Academy, Xiao Wu, Hua Shuang, and the 2 brothers whose spirits were Mars. 2 were from Heavenly Water Academy, Shui Binger and Zhu Wu, who possessed a spirit fusion skill. The dozen or so academies on the Star Luo Empire side weren't a problem. But the Heaven Dao Empire side was in an uproar. How could members of Blazing Fire Academy and Heavenly Water Academy be among the Divine Wind Academy members? The commotion below naturally didn't affect the match on the field. Shui Binger and Zhu Wu were positioned at the rear. Xiao Wu was in the middle, flanked by the two Mars Spirit Master brothers. Feng Xiaoshan and Hou Wushilong stood at the very front. When they all revealed their spirit rings, their opponents felt a chill run down their spines. The 7 people representing Divine Wind Academy were undoubtedly all spirit masters above level 40. The entire match was practically a one-sided massacre. Hou Wu hadn't even used her fire resistance ring. On the other side, Thunder Academy, another of the 5 elemental academies, had darkened faces. Lei Biao couldn't help but ask, "Teacher, wasn't it said that participating academies can't change their members midway through the competition?" "I already asked." The Thunder Academy team leader shook his head, explaining helplessly, "They've exploited a loophole in the rules. Although the rule states that participating academies can't change members midway, it doesn't mean that academies already registered can't temporarily switch academies. This isn't explicitly stated in the documents." Several students from Blazing Fire Academy and Heavenly Water Academy are on the list for the finals. As long as the Spirit Hall approves, they can switch academies. Lei Dong frowned and said, "Then can't we do the same?" "Too late. The competition has already started, and the final spots for each team in the finals have been determined." Yu Xiangxin shook her head with a wry smile. "Xiangxin is right," the team leader nodded slightly. "Everyone is participating today, and once they've entered, it's impossible to change their academy's plans. Besides, which academy would give up its place in the finals? Blazing Fire Academy and Heavenly Water Academy have gone all out this time. I wonder what they sacrificed to get the Spirit Hall to be so accommodating." Although the 3 academies are united, they have still given up 2 spots in the finals. In a sense, the participating academies are still beneficiaries. Many academies from the Heaven Dao Empire have lodged similar protests. But they are also experiencing the Spirit Hall's toughness for the first time. The Spirit Hall's final response was only one sentence: "Those who don't want to participate can withdraw. The organizing committee is absolutely fair." The Heaven Dao Empire officials did not intervene. After all, the strengthened Divine Wind Academy still belongs to the Heaven Dao Empire, and if they achieve good results, it won't harm the Heaven Dao Empire. Currently, the relationship between the 2 empires and the Spirit Hall is at least superficially harmonious. They certainly wouldn't intentionally offend the Spirit Hall over such a small matter. The first 2 rounds of the competition quickly ended, and the top 10 of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Tournament were determined. The 3rd round is about to begin. In this round, Shenfang Academy and the Star Luo Empire's 2nd place academy in the qualifying rounds received a bye. Blue Tyrant Academy also faced their first match in the finals. In the first 2 rounds, Yichu and his team didn't participate, essentially receiving byes. The first round saw Blazing Fire Academy withdraw. The second round was as stipulated by the rules, with the first qualifying round resulting in a bye. Nothing unexpected happened. After the draw for the 3rd round, the atmosphere in the finals suddenly became tense. Have a great day. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 697, a reminder to Feng Xiaoshan and the others. The opponent for Blue Tyrant Academy in the 3rd round caused both Yichu and Zhu Zhuking to frown. Their opponent in the 3rd round was Star Luo Royal Advanced Soul Master Academy, one of the 3 seeded teams selected by the Star Luo Empire. It was also the Soul Master team that Zhu's Huayan belonged to. For Yichu, this match might be the highlight. However, this was not what Yichu was most concerned about. What Yichu was looking forward to even more was another match. Shenfeng Advanced Soul Master Academy vs Xiandao Royal Advanced Soul Master Academy, which was the combined team of Feng Xiaoshan's 3 academies, against Tang San's team. Undoubtedly, these 2 matches were of paramount importance to Yichu. Yichu was very curious about Tang San's cultivation level. There was still half an hour before the start of the match. The top 10 of the competition had already entered the arena for their final preparations and warm-ups. "Zhuking, what's wrong?" Ningrongrong asked, somewhat puzzled. Ever since learning the draw results, Zhu Zhuking had become somewhat different. "It's nothing, it's just that Zhu Qing's older sister is on the opposing team," Yichu explained with a smile. Zhu Qing's older sister? Ningrongrong raised an eyebrow, then suddenly realized. "Ah, I remember now, Zhu Qing seems to be from the Star Luo Empire. Don't worry, we won't hurt your sister," Xiao Wu gently nuzzled Zuzu Qing's chest with her elbow, looking content. Zuzu Qing rolled her eyes at her and took a slight step back. I'm not worried about that, I'm just feeling a bit sentimental. Saying this, Zuzu Qing smiled at Yichu. Alright, Zhu Qing, you've thanked me so many times already. Yichu waved his hand helplessly. Zuzu Qing smiled gently. You guys talk first, I'll go say hello to Feng Xiaoshan and the others. Yichu looked towards the Shenfeng team, greeted Liu Erlong and the others, and then walked over. He had a premonition. Tang San and the others might become very different. According to the information Jin Ringsu gave him, Dai Mubei and Yu Xian Heng's cultivation levels would definitely be much higher. He leisurely arrived at the Divine Wind team. At this moment, Feng Xiaoshan, Ho Wu, and Shui Binger were discussing how to deal with the Heavenly Dao Royal Academy team. The members of the Heavenly Water Academy were also nearby. As soon as Yichu arrived, Shui Yuir greeted him. Yichu, what brings you here? Chu Ruishu and the others blushed when they saw Yichu. Clearly, the preconceived notions about Yichu had left a deep impression on them. Yichu tried to pull his hand out of the ditch, forcing a smile, and said, I came to talk to Feng Xiaoshan and the others about something. Ho Wu, looking at Shui Yuir's cheap attitude, gritted her teeth and quickly stepped forward. Yichu, what do you want with us? Feng Xiaoshan and Shui Binger also turned their gazes to Yichu. Yichu let Shui Yuir press against him. I'm here to give you a heads up, Yichu said calmly. A heads up? You know the strength of the Heaven Dao Royal Academy team, Feng Xiaoshan exclaimed excitedly. Yichu shook his head helplessly. Don't laugh. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. Yichu, what do you mean by that? Shui Binger frowned. She didn't think Yichu would deliberately scare them. Yichu stroked his chin, speaking earnestly, I do know the strength of the Royal Academy team. How should I put it? They're all soul masters above level 40, HMPH. So what if they were all above level 40? Aren't we the same? Ho Wu snorted coldly, her gaze fixed on Shui Yuir, her actions becoming increasingly audacious. She actually placed Yichu's hand on her face and neck, and even moved it downwards. Yichu rolled his eyes. Ho Wu, can you please let me finish? There's a huge difference between levels 40 and above. The Royal Fighting Team has many players above level 45, and even some Soul Kings. Soul King, hearing Yichu's words, Ho Wu, Shui Binger, and the others couldn't help but widen their eyes. Even Shui Yuir was stunned. She covered her face with Yichu's hand, momentarily forgetting her next move. Really? Ho Wusheng asked incredulously. Of course it's true, Yichu shrugged. He believed that once Tang San started cultivating the Clear Sky Hammer, Soul King would be just the beginning. Seeing them come to their senses, Yichu continued to remind them, furthermore, that Soul King actually possesses twin martial souls. His first martial soul is Blue Silver Grass, and his second is the Clear Sky Hammer. The number one weapon martial soul in the world, twin martial souls. Ho Wu and Feng Xiaoshan's eyes widened. Not only were they twin martial souls, but one of them was actually the Clear Sky Hammer. How could they not know the terror of twin martial souls? If that Clear Sky Hammer had a few black spirit rings, they wouldn't stand a chance. Ho Wu and Shui Binger exchanged a glance, a hint of bitterness creeping into their eyes. Shui Binger, in particular, felt even more bitter. After all, Ho Wu and her team had encountered Blue Tyrant Academy in the first round. They definitely wouldn't make it this far. But their Heavenly Water Academy was different. The opponents they faced weren't strong. If they hadn't merged, advancing to the fourth round would definitely be no problem. However, Shui Binger wouldn't regret it. It was their own choice. They didn't think Yichu would lie, since the answer would be revealed soon. There was no need to play games with him. Yichu, it seems we won't have a chance to fight on the field. Feng Xiaoshan smiled bitterly. He felt something was missing that he couldn't let Yichu taste his carefully prepared moves. Want to fight me? That's easy. I'm always welcome. Yichu smiled and shrugged. Alright, that's all I have to say, Feng Xiaoshan. I'll remind you one last time, when facing them, it's best not to have any wishful thinking or testing the waters. It's best to go all out from the start, because your Gale Wolf 36 consecutive slashes is no match for the Haoshan Sex Chaotic Cloak Hammer technique. Use whatever skills you have as soon as possible. Don't leave any regrets. Feng Xiaoshan smiled helplessly. I don't know if you're praising me or insulting me for a moment. Don't worry, With Xiao Wu and Shui Binger there, my Gale Wolf 36 consecutive slashes will become extraordinary. You'll see then. This move was originally prepared for you, although it might not hit you. Alright, then I look forward to your performance. Taking advantage of Shui Yu's dazed state, Yi Chu suddenly withdrew his hand. Just as he was about to turn and leave, he added, by the way, remember, if things are hopeless, admit defeat in time. Don't ruin your future for a single match. Some guys in the royal battle won't necessarily show mercy. Yi Chu's words were very serious. He even gave Xiao Wu a special warning, especially you, Xiao Wu. Tone down your temper, or your future is ruined. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 698 Davis, rejected by his environment. Xiao Wu was stunned. Looking at Yi Chu's serious face, her cheeks flushed crimson. Her eyes darted away, and she stammered, yet couldn't help but obey. I understand, Yi Chu frowned, warning her again, I'm not joking. If he uses underhanded tactics, it might not be a problem in the short term, but it will ruin your future. I already said I understand. Xiao Wu's face was flushed, her neck stiff, and she even stomped her foot. Oh, cough cough, good that you know. Yi Chu finally noticed Xiao Wu's strange behavior and coughed twice. Then he turned and left. Good luck to you. Watching Yi Chu's departing figure, Xiao Wu's face remained flushed. Being forced into such a demand for the first time felt very strange. But since it was Yi Chu who was giving her the order, she didn't feel anything was wrong. Instead, she unconsciously wanted to obey. Coming to her senses, she faced Shui Binger and the others' gazes, her ears practically bleeding. Xiao Wu, Shui Binger, it seems we need to change our tactics a bit. Feng Zai sighed and rubbed his forehead. He hoped he could handle it. Unbeknownst to them, the match was about to begin. Since the start of the tournament, the Blue Tyrant Academy team hadn't yet played. When Yi Chu appeared on the stage with Xiao Lan, Zhu Xiuqing, Zhang Zhu, Ning Rongrong, Bai Chengxiang, and Xiao Wu, the remaining Soul Master teams from the Heaven Dao Empire all froze for a moment. Xiao Wu and Shui Binger stood together, also very curious about Yi Chu's teamwork. Led by Yi Chu, the Blue Tyrant Academy team members lined up, standing quietly on the stage. Zhu Xiuqing and Xiao Wu stood beside Yi Chu, everyone silently watching ahead. On the other side of the stage, another group of 7 slowly walked onto the platform. Yi Chu remembered Zhu Huain telling him about Davis's various abnormalities. When Yi Chu's gaze fell on the person walking at the very front, a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. Davis was stronger than he had imagined. His long, golden hair cascaded down his back, his face radiating a lazy air, his eyes flashing with a dark, sinister light. His appearance bore at least a 70% resemblance to Daimyo Bei, though he was several sizes taller. Though casual, his smile still carried a hint of a superior's aura. He exuded an eerie, sinister aura. Yi Chu could even sense a pressure and a feeling of disgust emanating from him, a sense of rejection from Wuhan City. Davis seemed completely out of place in Wuhan City. Behind Davis followed a tall, slender girl, almost as tall as him, with an extremely voluptuous figure and alabaster white skin, also wearing a smile. However, she lacked Zhu Xiuqing's coldness. She appeared much gentler. In this gentleness, beauty was more easily appreciated. Upon seeing Yi Chu and Zhu Xiuqing, Zhu Huain's smile deepened, though she dared not show it too obviously. Xiao Wu and the other girls didn't need Zhu Xiuqing to introduce them, they recognized her immediately. That beautiful woman was Zhu Xiuqing's older sister, truly gifted. Ning Rongrong couldn't help but grind her teeth. Why didn't she have such talent? But thinking about her small frame with 2 large coconuts hanging from it, she felt a bit out of place. She'd probably have trouble even walking. So awkward. Davis's gaze swept over Yi Chu, looking at the team with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Tisk tisk. I didn't expect to see such an interesting team in this boring Soul Master competition. Their strength is quite impressive. Zhang Zhu and Bai Chengxiang immediately frowned. They felt uncomfortable under Davis's somewhat sinister gaze. Your strength is also quite impressive. A purple glint flashed in Yi Chu's eyes as he stared directly at Davis. Oh, Davis looked at Yi Chu, his smile widening. Interesting, very interesting. I can actually sense a slight threat from a mere soul master like you. You're quite something. Zhu Xiuqing couldn't help but frown. She had met Davis before. He felt completely different from now, as if he had become a different person. Davis's gaze fell on Zhu Xiuqing. His eyes held a hint of mockery as he exchanged a glance with the girl beside him. He teased, Xuan, if I remember correctly, your sister shouldn't be even 15 yet, right? To break through to Soul King at such a young age, such talent is truly beyond words. Even you only broke through to level 50 in the last few days, perhaps it's just luck. Zhu Zuo'an's voice was different from Zhu Zhiqing's, lacking Zhu Zhiqing's coldness. Instead, it possessed an inner allure, a soft and charming voice that easily drew people in unconsciously. Whether it's luck or not, sister will soon find out. Zhu Zhiqing's voice was cold and clear, showing no intention of being polite. Zhu Zuo'an's lips twitched slightly. She gave Yichu a subtle, resentful look. What about Xiaolan? What about Xiaolan? She's even younger than Sister Zhu Qing. Xiaolan suddenly raised her hand. Haha, Davis suddenly burst into laughter. As if bored and deliberately passing the time, he carefully examined Xiaolan. He couldn't help but frown. Little sister, it was really my fault for ignoring you earlier. I didn't expect you to be the one who surprised me the most, really. Xiaolan just thought that these words were all praise. Davis nodded silently, and looking at Xiaolan's innocent appearance, the seriousness in his eyes dissipated a lot. So what if she possessed more divine power than him? She was just a fool. He could solve her with a little effort. Neither of the two people talking on the stage deliberately suppressed their voices. The soul masters below the stage had much better hearing than ordinary people. When they heard Davis say that Zhu Qing had broken through to the Soul King level before she was even 15 years old, even the most self-confident soul masters couldn't help but be in an uproar. Especially those who had seen Zhu Qing fight before. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Xiao Wu was completely stunned. If she had imagined a fair fight against Lanba Academy after joining forces with Shenfeng Academy, now she was utterly hopeless. These people were more than 4 years younger than her, yet their strength was in no way inferior. Were they even human? Thinking of this, another question came to mind. She had never known Yichu's exact age. Was he also that young? The referee arrived at the center of the two teams. Prepare for the match. You may release your martial souls, the rules remain the same. The loser will be eliminated immediately, and the winner will advance to the top 6. Lanba Advanced Soul Master Academy Team vs Xingluo Royal Advanced Soul Master Academy. Ready, have a nice day. Chapter 699 An unprecedented appearance of the Soul Emperor. Yichu's gaze met Davis's. Davis's eyes suddenly sharpened, seemingly with a hint of predatory delight. His entire body relaxed, his broad shoulders and sinister face revealing a strange smile. Release your spirits, everyone. Let's have some fun with them. Davis's words were utterly blunt. The 7 members of the Douluo Royal Academy team instantly released their spirit power. Davis and Zhu Zuo'an stood at the forefront, their spirit power fluctuations being the most significant. In an instant, 2 yellow and 2 purple spirit rings appeared on Zhu Zuo'an's body. She was already level 50, having only broken through after arriving in Spirit City. Zhu Zuo'an's spirit was naturally the same as Zhu Zhiqing's, the Netherworld Cat. Yichu stared intently at Davis. They were currently the strongest opponents the Blue Tyrant Academy team had encountered in this competition. What surprised the spectators even more was that the spirits released by the 5 people behind Davis and Zhu Zuo'an, 4 of them were above level 40. Including the 2 from the former, the entire Douluo Academy team has a total of 6 Soul Masters. Aside from the Spirit Hall Academy team, which had already impressed everyone the day before, and the combined teams of Shenfeng, Chihou, and Xianshu, they are the team with the most Soul Masters above level 40 among those currently competing. Moreover, Zhu Zuo'an's strength is outstanding, while Davis's strength remains a mystery. Yichu is certain that in terms of overall strength, they are far superior to the new Shenfeng Academy team. However, when Yichu and the others from Blue Tyrant Academy activated their martial souls, it brought an even greater shock to the unsuspecting crowd. Zhu Zhiqing possessed 5 soul rings, 1 yellow, 3 purple, and 1 black. She really is a Soul King. When Zhu Zhiqing's soul rings appeared, everyone's doubts vanished. That girl, not even 15 years old, was actually a Soul King. The various academies from the Douluo Empire that advanced exclaimed simultaneously. The shock wasn't over yet. Yichu and Xiao Wu both slowly raised 4 soul rings, 2 yellow and 2 purple. The 4 girls, Bai Chengxiang, Jiang Zhu, Xiaolan, and Yingran Grong, all possessed the standard configuration of 2 yellow and 2 purple spirit rings. The Blue Tyrant Academy team, which hadn't even appeared in the first 2 rounds of the finals, actually boasted 6 soul masters of level 40 or higher with the best spirit ring configurations. They also had a soul king whose second ring was a 1,000-year-old spirit ring. In just an instant, the pressure from the spirit rings significantly diminished the Douluo Empire's previous momentum. Davis shook his head helplessly, smiling. Isn't it better to be open and honest? Why hide it like this? Yichu narrowed his eyes. This Davis could indeed see through their concealment of their normal spirit ring configurations. But there was no surprise in his eyes. It seemed he only knew that Zhu's Huking and the others were hiding something, not how much it exceeded the standard. I think you're hiding even more. Yichu's 3 Tomo eyes slowly rotated, locking onto Davis. The spirit power fluctuations on his body were definitely excessive. Meeting Yichu's Sharingan, Davis couldn't help but frown. Very powerful spiritual power. Moreover, Yichu's eyes reminded him of some unpleasant memories. They were very similar to that guy who participated in the God War even before reaching the title Douluo level. Their eyes met with the same blood-red light. Boy, you're not bad. Davis's voice turned cold, and the white tiger behind him appeared. In Yichu's Sharingan, wisps of black energy, invisible to ordinary people, rose from the white tiger. Davis's spirit rings rose one by one, yellow, purple, black. By the 4th spirit ring, the entire arena was in an uproar. The 5th ring, black. My God. Another Soul King, whether from the Heavendao Empire or the Douluo Empire, everyone's eyes were wide open. No, impossible. How could a Soul Emperor appear in the Soul Master competition? This isn't real. As the screams of the crowd outside the arena rang out, Davis's spirit rings were fully revealed. 2 yellow, 1 purple, and 3 black. My God. Unprecedented, the arena erupted in cheers, and even Ning Rongrong and the others had lost their previous smiles. Zhu Huayan's eyes were filled with worry. Although she didn't know much about Davis at this moment, she was certain he was hiding some secrets. The danger he brought was undeniable. Is there really no one human in this Soul Master competition? Feng Xiaoshan smiled bitterly below the stage. Xiao Wu and Shui Binger were speechless. It seemed that even if they got together, they would be nothing more than a rabble. At the same time, they truly remembered Yichu's warning. This time, can Yichu and his team still win? Hou Wusheng asked hesitantly. They will win. The opponent is just a Soul Emperor. Hou Wu clenched her fist, confident in Yichu but unable to help but worry. Including teammates, the gap in combat power alone is quite large. Feng Xiaoshan once again felt that his innate full soul power was a joke. I think Yichu can win, Shui Binger said calmly. Her and Zhu Wu's martial soul fusion skill would defeat even a Soul King. But Yichu withstood the attack unscathed, proving he had the ability to contend with a Soul Emperor. Davis's eyes were sinister. He asked Yichu mockingly, Kid, how was it? Not bad, Yichu replied calmly, turning to look at Xiao Wu and the others, signaling them to be careful. Just not bad? I hope your strength is as tough as your mouth, Davis sneered. The match begins. The referee finally snapped out of his daze and gave the order. This highly anticipated competition, which had attracted attention from the moment the martial souls were summoned, finally began. Wrong, amplify. Both sides had already formed their formations when releasing their martial souls. Yichu didn't need to say anything more. The 9 treasure-glazed tile pagoda in Ning Rongrong's hand had already begun to radiate light. 4 streams of light shot out. Yichu's soul power amplified, Zhu's Huking's speed amplified, Xiao Wu's strength amplified, and Bai Chengxiang's defense amplified. A 50% increase. Yichu's soul power was now undistinguishable from that of a Soul King. Immediately afterward, Jiangsu also directly used her 4th soul skill. 6 orbs of light flew out, spheres of healing energy that directly engulfed Yichu and the others. Whenever they were injured, this energy would automatically heal the wounded parts of the Soul Master until it was completely depleted. Xiao Lan, cooperate well. Zhu Qing, Xiang, clear the area first. Yichu didn't hide his voice. This was their first time on the field. And Davis and the others hadn't had a chance to prepare. Besides, he was also giving Zhu Huayan a heads up. Understood, the girls immediately agreed. Xiao Wu, on the other hand, was responsible for protecting Ning Rongrong and Jiangsu. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 700, an ability similar to short distance away. As Yichu and the others moved, the white tiger protective barrier appeared on Davis. Although his soul skills weren't exactly the same as Daimyo Bei's, the first 3 were identical. After all, these 3 soul skills were the best conclusions reached after countless refinements by their family. You guys play by yourselves, don't bother me. Davis glanced at Zhu Huayan and the others, then without hesitation, charged towards Yichu. He needed to confirm something. Davis took the lead, releasing a powerful aura. He also used the White Tiger Vajra transformation at this moment, pressing down on Yichu with his own strength. Behind Davis, Zhu Huayan also moved. A supportive light shone from behind her, and Zhu Huayan's body almost instantly disappeared. In a flash, her body left only a faint afterimage in the air. Her body drew a huge arc, bypassing Zhu's Huking from the siding. Zhu Huayan's illusory figure stopped in midair. An even faster figure silently blocked her path. In a fierce collision, Zhu's Huking and Zhu Huayan left a trail of sparks in the air. In terms of cultivation, Zhu's Huking was significantly stronger than Zhu Huayan, given the approximately 3-level difference in their soul power. However, don't forget that behind Zhu's Huking was the unprecedented 9-treasure glazed tile pagoda soul master, Ningrongrong, whose speed boost increased her speed by 50%. For agility-type soul masters, speed and attack power are directly proportional. Although Zhu Huayan also had a speed boost from her companion, how could its effect compare to the number 1 support martial soul in the world? Moreover, Zhu's Huking possessed an external soul bone. Zhu Huayan showed no shock, her movements unwavering. The 2 sisters' bodies collided repeatedly in the air like meteors. Countless sparks flew from the contact of their claws. 4th soul skill, Netherworld Shadow Clone. The 2 women used their 4th soul skill almost simultaneously. Given the difference in cultivation and soul skill, Zhu Huayan's defeat was only a matter of time. Moreover, Zhu Huayan had no intention of fighting, she only needed to hold back at the right moment. Zhuking, don't let your cultivation go to waste, HMPH. I won't let you down, Zhu Huking snorted coldly, her movements swift but not deadly. 12 more figures joined the fray. The entire arena became even more chaotic. Yichu faced off against Davis. Undoubtedly, Davis's soul power was currently the strongest in the arena. A hint of bloodlust flashed in the 3 Tomo and Yichu's eyes. Mere illusions are nothing but child's play, Davis snorted coldly. Suddenly, his eyes blazed with light, completely ignoring Yichu's illusions. Even though he had died once and was still recovering, his spiritual power was not something a mere soul master could shake. Amplified by the White Tiger Vajra transformation, a white tiger blazing light wave spewed towards Yichu. At the same time, his body accelerated, his tiger paws opened, targeting Yichu. How? Yichu's feet created afterimages as he dodged the white tiger blazing light wave attack. The next moment, a mysterious jade-like color appeared on Yichu's hand, colliding with Davis's tiger paw. Bang! Faced with Yichu's reaction speed, Davis didn't panic. His White Tiger Vajra transformation and White Tiger protective barrier were immediately activated to their limits. A dense layer of white light erupted from his body. He intended to use his soul power advantage to directly blast Yichu away. However, Davis miscalculated. The instant his white light made contact with Yichu's body, it offered no resistance whatsoever. It passed right through him. The next moment, Yichu's frost-covered fist slammed towards his face. The 3 Tomo in his eyes had, without him noticing, transformed into the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Divine Might activated its penetrating power. Cloth Blade Jade Life unleashed the body's potential. The power more than doubled, directly striking Davis's face. Davis's eyes flashed with a sharp light. His gaze towards Yichu was filled with astonishment. Whoosh! Davis's reaction suddenly accelerated. Dodging Yichu's attack by turning his head, he simultaneously struck out with both palms. Poof! The air exploded. He missed completely. Yichu's figure had already appeared behind Davis. Lightning crackled in his hands as he mercilessly thrust towards Davis's back. How? Spatial ability, huh? Davis sneered, his 5th spirit ring lighting up. An invisible barrier seemed to appear around his body, and Yichu's 1,000 birds seemed to gain considerable time as they landed. Yichu was startled. Davis, something was definitely wrong. Get out of the way, Davis roared, his tiger paw shooting out as he turned and struck Yichu. Poof! Yichu dodged, his movements becoming ethereal. A hint of seriousness unconsciously filled his eyes as he looked at Davis. This spirit emperor was the 2nd spirit master Yichu had encountered since meeting Douluo, besides himself, who possessed spatial abilities. It seemed to be similar to the effect of a world within reach, The two retreated again. Davis smiled, but his heart was not as calm as it appeared. Yi Chu's attack was too swift. The powerful thrust and intense lightning strike sent a shiver down his spine. Meanwhile, Bai Chengxiang and Xiao Lan also moved. Bai Chengxiang's spirit rings shone brightly, and her golden figure split into 5, attacking the other 5 spirit masters behind Davis and Zhu Zuoyan. With their superior speed, the spirit skills of a soul master were no match for Bai Chengxiang. With a loud clang, Zhu Zuoyan was sent flying backward by Zhu Zhuking's cat claws. Her face was now pale, and she bore several wounds. Zhu Zuking, however, was unharmed. Sister Zhuking, Sister Xiangxiang, a clear voice called out from Xiao Lan. A blue halo instantly spread out, and the blue-silver domain rapidly extended to the feet of the opposing spirit masters. She even has a domain. This little girl is indeed extraordinary. Davis narrowed his eyes slightly, but remained indifferent, showing no intention of helping his teammates. Of course, with Yi Chu present, he couldn't spare the time. A faint light flickered. A sly smile flickered across Xiao Lan's face. Golden blue light erupted from her body instantly. Boom, sizzle, accompanied by a strange sound, a golden blue halo rapidly spread outwards from the Douluo Academy team. At its peak, suddenly, countless blue-silver emperor grass vines burst forth from the ground within the halo's range, lifting everyone on the Douluo Academy team except Davis into the air. Even Zhu Zuoyan's clone was no exception. Before the crisis arrived, the Douluo Academy team members only had time to release their protective soul skills. Have a nice day. Chapter 701 Davis, whose nest has been usurped. At this moment, apart from Davis, who escaped the attack, everyone else, including his clones, was within Xiao Lan's attack range. Only Zhu Zuoyan, intentionally positioned by Zhu Zuking, was further away. Zhu Zuoyan's clone was destroyed immediately after taking off. The others managed to defend, but the blue-silver emperor vines that pierced them into the air were not simple blue-silver emperor vines. They possessed 2 extreme attributes. The blue-silver emperor emitted a special extreme chill, causing the 5 members of the Douluo Academy team to be briefly stunned. This was Xiao Lan's blue-silver thrust array, combined with a blue-silver domain. By using all her soul power to release the blue-silver emperor, which surged directly from the ground, this effect was achieved. Zhu Zuking and Bai Chengxiang's clearing action began as soon as Xiao Lan unleashed this blue-silver thrust array with its stun effect. Whoosh! With Ningrongrong's 50% speed boost, she, along with her 6 clones, seemed to be painting a picture in the sky above the arena with afterimages. Bai Chengxiang did the same. A golden swift, wielding its power, annihilated 2 soul masters amidst a golden ink wash landscape. The swift speed and attack instantly rendered the 5 team members incapable of further combat. They were flung through the air, arcing through the air before crashing to the ground outside the arena. Even though 4 of them were soul masters, their cultivation was only at level 45. Against Zhu Zuking and Bai Chengxiang, who were also skilled in speed at levels 48 and 53 respectively, they had no chance to fight back. Thud! Thud! In an instant, they fell to the ground like dumplings being dropped into a pot. A gasp swept through the crowd. It was too fast, too strong. In just one exchange, less than half a minute, they had sent the opposing team, including 4 soul masters, off the stage. It seemed even Zhu Zuoyan was about to be knocked off. This meant the Douluo royal team, which had been in a favorable position just moments before, was now at a disadvantage. In the blink of an eye, only Soul Emperor Davis remained. Brother! I told you. Yi Chu and the others would definitely win. Ho Wu breathed a sigh of relief, a hint of pride on her face, and patted Ho Wuxiang's shoulder. Yi Chu had gained the upper hand. She was even happier than if she had won the match herself. Yet, it's a good thing we had a one-on-one match with Yi Chu during the preliminaries, otherwise we wouldn't have even made it to the 100th. Feng Xiaoshan shook his head with a wry smile, feeling fortunate. Shui Binger nodded slightly. The strength of the Blue Tyrant Academy team was indeed beyond her expectations. Of course, it wasn't that Davis's Soul Emperor was worthless. His appearance was absolutely unprecedented, but unfortunately, he was going to lose. On the arena, Zhu Zuoyan had already been knocked off the stage by Zhu Zuking. Without any hesitation, Zhu Zuking immediately lunged at Davis. Zuking, you guys step back first, I'll handle him. Swish. Yi Chu's feet left after images as he blocked Zhu Zuking behind him. The blood-red eternal kaleidoscope stared straight at Davis. "Husband, be careful," Zhu's Huking frowned, saying nothing more. She pulled Xiaolan back, their mission essentially over. However, the Soul Emperor was no match for Yichu. "Let's continue." Yichu stared at Davis, recalling that ability that seemed to bridge distances. Perhaps he could break it using his divine might. "How, kid, your women are quite capable." Davis's eyes flashed with a dark light as he stared intently at Yichu's familiar yet unfamiliar eyes. "I'm increasingly feeling a sense of déjà vu about you, is that so?" Yichu's voice was calm and collected. With a wave of his hand, 1,000 birds, 1,000 bones, wreathed in black flames, hurtled towards Davis. Whoosh! Simultaneously, cloth blade jade life and lightning enveloped him. Yichu's speed surged. Then, several streaks of light landed on Yichu. A 50% increase in speed, a 50% increase in defense, and a 50% increase in strength. Looking at Yichu's speed, a look of solemnity flashed in Davis's eyes, mixed with a hint of amusement. With such power, he was almost certain that Yichu was a descendant of that powerful figure from years ago. "Looks like I need to unleash a little more of my power." Davis's eyes gleamed with a dark light. The space in front of him seemed to fluctuate, and Yichu's Chidori Senbon, infused with Amaterasu, couldn't reach him. Kamui! A blood-red light flashed in Yichu's eyes. But he wasn't attacking Davis. Instead, he was distorting the space in front of him, making it chaotic. Poof! The Chidori Senbon successfully broke through, attacking Davis. Yichu instantly closed in. His Rasengan shot towards Davis's back. "How, indeed strong," Davis frowned, his interest growing. He took a step forward. At the same time, his fourth spirit ring shone. Davis had already appeared behind Yichu. He raised his hand to grab Yichu's neck. Poof! Yichu became intangible, dodging Davis's attack. The Chidori Senbon pierced through his body and shot towards Davis. Unfortunately, the 1,000 books group still missed their target. A deep trench was left on the arena, which can withstand attacks from Soul Emperors. A few black flames flickered. "Next, I'm going to attack your women." Davis stood opposite Yichu at the edge of the arena, seemingly telling Yichu that he could appear anywhere on this arena at any time. "Then you won't have an easy time either." Yichu's eyes widened. His spiritual power, already at the Soul Saint level, made his Tsukuyomi even more terrifying. Whoosh! Davis's gaze also became somewhat serious. "It seems my intuition was right. The threat you pose to me far exceeds my expectations." Before he finished speaking, Davis had already appeared behind Yichu. He casually pulled out his tiger claw, aiming for Yichu's back. Poof! Yichu responded with a penetrating attack. He tiptoed and spun, his 1,000 birds sharp spear sweeping towards Davis. White tiger blazing light wave. Boo! A milky white ray with a hint of black energy struck directly at Yichu's head. Yichu blurred again. Their attacks passed right through each other. They brushed past each other. "Looks like you can't dodge my attacks when I'm attacking," Davis said calmly, turning to look at Yichu. "That's right, as you can see," Yichu replied, unsurprised. He increasingly felt that the Davis before him was no longer the original Davis. Perhaps, like Tang Sen, he had been usurped and become a vessel. If that were the case, could the soul within Davis belong to God? "Kid, you're quite interesting. How about joining us?" Davis didn't continue his attack. Instead, he extended an olive branch to Yichu, even feeling a pang of regret. "Have a pleasant life, everyone." Chapter 702 Davis's probing slash. In Davis's mind, Tang San's twin martial souls couldn't compare to the power of Yichu's eyes. After all, the Rakshasa god who fought alongside him back then was directly killed by the owner of this martial soul. He still couldn't forget that scene. He originally thought that after becoming a god, he would be worlds apart from mortals. But this person who suddenly appeared taught him a good lesson. He didn't say more than a few words before directly shooting an arrow at the Rakshasa god, sending him to his death. Although Yichu's martial soul seemed to be somewhat different from that person's, much less powerful, it was still quite impressive that he, at level 48, could fight on par with Davis, who was at level 63. Even without using his full strength. "I'm sorry, I don't want to be subordinate to anyone." Yichu shook his head and directly refused Davis. Between them, they were destined to be enemies, irreconcilable. "It's okay, you can still consider it. Maybe you'll change your mind when you witness my power." Yichu refused. Davis wasn't annoyed, he still had time to wait for Yichu. Then, Davis suddenly remembered something and couldn't help but ask, "By the way, are your elders still alive?" "I'm just an orphan," Yichu truthfully replied, without making any grand pronouncements. He knew almost nothing about those matters. "An orphan," Davis murmured, a smile on his face, but also a hint of regret. Without that person, their plans should go more smoothly. Without that person, he couldn't personally crush his bones. Davis realized that laughing at this moment seemed a bit inappropriate. He chuckled awkwardly. "Haha, sorry, I wasn't making fun of you. Want to fight?" Yichu frowned, ignoring him, his Tsukuyomi eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Of course, let me see your strength." Wisps of black mist slowly emerged from Davis's white fore also. "To show my sincerity, you don't need to worry about me attacking your beautiful women." His words fell. Whoosh! A jet black tiger tail, like a scorpion's tail with barbs, suddenly emerged from behind Davis. It instantly lengthened, stabbing towards Yichu. At the same time, he frowned. Since entering this spirit city, he had been able to feel a kind of subtle suppression. It was a familiar feeling. Thinking of the six-winged angel spirit of the Jin family of the Spirit Hall, Davis understood. They were all old friends. He didn't expect them to be so vengeful. Even the inheritance grounds they left behind didn't welcome him. Thud. Yichu retreated. That black tail seemed to fit the image of a certain spirit beast. "Come on. Let's have some fun." Davis didn't waste any more words and directly attacked Yichu with his long tail. Tiger paws collided with Yichu's bare hands. Yichu was suddenly unable to defend himself, simply because Davis had an extra tail. This caused him to enter a state of intangibility from time to time. The Tsukuyomi that had been gathering power in his eyes had been withdrawn. Since the opponent was not the real Davis, Yichu did not dare to use spirit skills that touched his mental power or soul. One wrong move, and he'd be killed by Davis. Bang! Crack! Explosions echoed across the arena. At this moment, everyone's astonishment wasn't about Davis's Soul Emperor cultivation, but about Yichu's ability to fight Davis to a standstill. This combat power was simply too formidable. The others were amazed. But Douluo felt something was amiss. "Second sister. What's going on with that Soul Emperor? When did my husband find it so difficult to deal with a Soul Emperor?" "I don't know either. Maybe that guy has something special about him." Liu Erlong gently shook her head. On the other side, Xiao Wu, Shui Binger, and the others were watching Yichu's battle intently. "It's too fast. My eyes can't keep up." "Did they even hit each other?" Feng Zhiaoshan rubbed his blurry eyes. "Probably not. If they had hit each other, there would have been some blood." Hua Xiong shook her head, also feeling dizzy. "Although it's not very clear, it's certain that the Soul Emperor hasn't used his sixth soul skill yet," Shui Binger said softly. "The outcome should hinge on his sixth soul skill." "I think the outcome was already decided the moment he faced Yichu." Hou Wu clenched her fist, her face slightly flushed as she met Shui Binger's strange gaze. She explained, "Shui Binger, do you know what soul skills Yichu possesses?" Shui Binger remained silent. Hou Wu then turned her gaze to Feng Zhiaoshan and Hua Xiong. "What about you two? How would I know?" Feng Zhiaoshan shrugged helplessly. He didn't know why Yichu could learn even his 36 consecutive slashes of the Gale Wolf in such a short time. Hou Wu nodded in satisfaction. "So Yichu definitely has a trump card. It's just his sixth soul skill. So what if his fourth soul ring is 10,000 years old? I remember one of Yichu's women has a 10,000-year-old fourth soul ring." "Right, Hou Wu is right. Yichu will definitely win. No one else can even touch him," Shui Yuer said with a smile. "That's right, Yichu's soul skill is too shameless. As long as he doesn't attack others, no one can hide him." Feng Zhiaoshan nodded in agreement. In the brief moment of their conversation, the battle on the arena had reached its climax. Davis's sixth soul ring had lit up. His fifth soul ring lit up at the same time. "Look! That Soul Emperor is about to use his trump card," Hou Wu exclaimed, and everyone's eyes widened, afraid of missing anything. Whoosh! Yichu sped across the arena. When he was only a meter away from Davis, the seemingly insurmountable distance seemed to expand. Yichu was blocked a meter away. The distance that could be crossed in an instant seemed much farther. Just as Yichu was about to use his divine might to break through, Davis's sixth soul skill followed closely behind. "Let me see if your cowardly soul skill can withstand this." Davis was clearly losing patience. With a wave of his hand, a huge white tiger seemed to emerge from the space behind him. Roar! A tiger roared through the mountains, and invisible blades hurtled directly towards Yichu. No one could see them except Yichu, whose crimson kaleidoscope spun. Even though the blades didn't create any ripples in the air, Yichu could still feel the threat of those strikes. He immediately became ethereal poof. Yichu froze, staring in astonishment at the scene before him. The invisible blades didn't pierce through. Instead, they tore space apart right where Yichu stood. A sound like shattering glass rang in Yichu's ears. Have a nice day. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.